Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Tuesday night edition of everybody's favorite M-rated gaming podcast. It is Gaming After Dark. I'm your host, Mr. Boom Boom Kaboom, and with me is my usual suspect panel, the always fantastic man who brings the comment back to sense. Titan Drago is in the house. What is up, brother?
What's up, everyone? Got Rand here tonight. Can't wait to get this show started.
Well, we are not going to delay. This will not be a 30-minute intro or outro. We promise that. Getting right down to it. It's the one who, a man of multiple personalities, the man who always has that charisma. It is a middle-aged game guy.
Yeah, well, good evening, Noof. Good evening, Chat Titan. And of course, our special guest, Thor. My goodness, it's always an absolute pleasure to have royalty, multi-millionaire YouTuber in the house, right? So, and of course, second in charge of his own show, as Jez, of course, runs the show. But anyways, guys, let's get right into this show. We got some great topics tonight. We got some hot chat going on tonight. Everybody's already saying hi. Let's get right into it.
Absolutely. And a man who basically needs no introduction, but he's already been introduced twice, and I will add to that. Randall 419 is in the house, the man with the million. First guy to hit 1 million during an Xbox E3. Honored to have him here. Also, co-host of the Xbox 2 podcast with Jez Corton. He is certainly one of the most knowledgeable Xbox personalities in the business. Always an honor to have him here with us. So welcome back, Rand. How are you, man? And what's been keeping you busy?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Noof. Pleasure to be here with you. Titan Drago, the guy who brings dumb back to ass, right? Which I'm shocked you didn't use what I said last time for his intro this time, Noof. Come on, did we forget so easily?
He's got to make that joke every podcast he's with me.
Exactly. It's so good, though, because it's so good.
One thing I gotta mention real quick. I'm super hyped about it because, man, I've been waiting for this game for forever, and it's been on PC. But Evil Genius 2 is coming to Xbox. I finally got that pre-ordered. Let me know in the chat, real quick, if you're hyped about that game coming to Xbox. Go ahead, Rand.
Nobody's hyped about any game you play. So anyways,
Evil Genius 2, the complete opposite of Titan Drago.
Wow, the burns are starting early tonight. You know, this is going to be a great podcast, and we don't even have a Titan Drago's corner plan.
That's right. I got to bring Rand in my corner. I got to defend myself around.
We do have the mag here with some great insights as well as some spicy Twitter takes sometimes. Little videos he makes. I don't know how you convince your wife to make those with you.
She loves it, man. She's in the chat right now having a good giggle.
Speaking of the chat, we got one of the best chats in the podcasting game, starting off with a couple guys who I said earlier on Twitter are true MVPs. Timothy Dixon, Doggy Dog, Spider-Man 356. Guys, I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate your love and support, and been there every step of the way. Appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much. And to all of the people that come out to this show right now, hopefully we'll hit a record number tonight. We're going to have a dynamite episode. We got Monster 530 here. Draven Arrow Toolman is in the house. Let's scroll on down. Casket Repair is hanging out with us as well. We've got Tony Grosso here. I saw... who else is here right now? We've got Mass Hole is hanging out with us as well. The Doctor's in the house. I knew I smelled trouble. Speaking of trouble, Chef Trouble hanging out with us as well. The Doctor is here, so you know things are going to get a little trench-worthy when he's in the house. Expect another dynamite question for Tony Baloney, I'm sure. We got Pure Flack Monkey hanging out with us as well. Pure Flack, hope you're doing better, my friend. Good to see you here as well. I see my good friend Ryan Galloway hanging out with us. Depka is here. Nix is in the house. We got Portal Player hanging out with us as well. Tyrone Israel, what's going on? Man, we got a great crew starting out already. We got Fun Speculation.
Hey, what's up, Mav?
What's going on, Mav? How you doing? And I think we've just about caught up with everybody.
Oh, no, you didn't. You missed one guy.
Who'd I miss?
Joe Dunmore is in the
Yes, wouldn't be a show without Joe Dunmore. Doggy Dog, first guy to drop a super chat at $1.99. Good evening, new panel chat. Much love. Well, much love right back to you, Doggy Dog. Pong Soul hanging out with us as well. Good.
Pong Soul.
Pong Soul.
Wow. He's like everywhere. Everywhere I turn, there's Pong Soul.
I actually think that he's found a way to duplicate himself.
He must be, because I'll tune into Mav's show, and he's on Mav's podcast, and he's on the other Mav's podcast, right? And then I'll be like, oh, he's on Boom's podcast. Oh, and he's on this podcast. It's like he must have multiple variations of himself, multiple copies, because I don't know about you guys, but I do one podcast a week, and then I get pretty tired. I don't want to do another podcast.
I get pretty tired
because I had to do a Colts show yesterday on short notice, and when I mean short notice, I mean 3 minutes notice. It was just like, Forte won't be here. Please do this with me. And I'm like, okay. And then Noof hit me up, and I'm like, yeah, I'll do Noof show. So I got to do 3 podcasts this week. So I'm going to be completely burnt out, So I don't know how Pong does it. You think he might be sniffing lines there to give him some energy?
He does like 18 podcasts a week, Rand. It's ridiculous. Every show I turn on, I was like, and Pong Soul. I'm like, how?
Not to mention the guys who do podcasts and end up streaming games on top of it all. I was like, my God, how do you, do you guys have time to eat shit or kiss your wife goodnight? I don't know. What's going on?
I got him on my friends list on Xbox, but he's always appearing offline. You don't even know if he's on.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it, guys. All right, let's get right into obviously the heavy hitting topic of this week and of tonight's podcast is Halo Infinite and the campaign trailer. We saw about 6 minutes worth of footage this past week. Some people have been extremely excited about it. Some people, well, certain people have been very adamant that this game still looks like ass, as some would say. There's a whole lot of things going around right now. I guess it depends on which side of the fence you're on, how big of a Halo fan you are, or how much of a fanboy you want to be. But I want to find out from Rand and our fantastic panel tonight and from the chat, how did you guys feel about that trailer? The one thing that I'm going to get out of the way, and I'll say this first, is it looks definitely much improved over what we saw last year when it was first unveiled. So the year off, the extra delay has certainly been paying off massive dividends. Good work for the team at 343. But at the end of the day, again, people are still nitpicking a variety of different things. And, is Halo going to live and die right now by its visual presentation, regardless of how good this game may or may not be? I don't know. We're going to find out more. And we're going to start with our guest tonight. Let's get him right into the thick of things and let him have a shot at this. Randall Thor, I'm really curious to know how you are feeling about what you saw from Halo Infinite. Perhaps, I don't know, you tend to play games and get feels for stuff before many of us ever do. So perhaps there's a little bit more that you can tell us that we don't know. What do you think of the fanboy reaction? And, are you happy with what you saw for the most part?
Yeah, for the most part, I'm, really happy with the campaign overview. I think it looks a lot better than it did in 2020. Clearly it was much improved, but of course everybody's gonna, get the microscopes out, zoom it up to 500%, put it on a low resolution 480p stream, and point out some of the flaws of some of the characters in the distance. That's par for the course. PlayStation guys do that to Xbox games all the time, and Xbox guys do that to PlayStation games all the time too. It's just like
Death Stranding.
They do it all the time. So it looked better, but some of the things that I noticed were I like the cinematic camera they're using. We kind of knew that they were using a camera style similar to God of War, one shot that's like following Master Chief and then goes into the helmet and you're in the gameplay. And it definitely seems, at least from some of the cinematics we've seen, that it's definitely maybe the most cinematic Halo. We'll have to see how the full game plays out. The equipment, we all got to play around with it in the multiplayer, and it adds so much to the sandbox. So, watching Chief use the grapple shot against the brutes and electrocuting them, making them basically stay stunned as an upgrade, or using the repulsor, like that stuff's going to change how you play Halo. Not just the multiplayer, but the single player as well. So I personally can't wait to actually get my hands on the game and then try it out for myself and use those abilities as much or as little as I want. Then the upgrade stuff, which ties into maybe my one concern I do have about the title. I always have concerns about games when you watch them, and then it always depends on how the game is presented and how much of it there is. But it did seem like this was almost, or at least my I guess I would say like my fear is that this is Halo Infinite by Ubisoft, where they handed the game to Ubisoft and they're like, we need an open world, do what you do. And we saw the map and you see, side missions and stuff, and then you see like a stronghold, very similar to the Far Cry stuff, where you take it over, you get some stuff. So there is a concern to me about, okay, how much is that going to be just checklists where you're just marking stuff off, or if it's just going to be extremely well integrated into the story overall. And so that's just something we'll just have to wait and see for ourselves when we play it. It's really my only concern is how much, Ubisoftified it is, which isn't really that big of a concern because I do enjoy most of the Ubisoft games. So it's just a different take for Halo. We've never had that Halo where, there are those side objectives like, hey, go over there, take over that base if you want to, and if you don't, you can continue on. Most Halo games just very linear. It might have like a big open section where you can drive, but for the most part, you're just one spot going to the next spot, A to B. And this one seems to be more like you got this big, area to explore at your will. You can upgrade your abilities, which is really cool. And it looks like if you take over these places, you'll get more stuff. So, the story seems interesting. What happened to Cortana? Where'd she go?
Mhm.
Why does she look purple? Why does she look like what she looked like in the first Halo instead of what she looked like in 5? Who's the harbinger of truth or whatever the Forerunner's calling herself or whatever at the end? Is the Flood going to be in the game? So there's a lot of question marks, for story, like
I wasn't surprised
mystery.
to see the new AI looking the way she did. Obviously, in this politically correct world, the smaller boobs, and now she's wearing clothes. I was just like, yeah, that's typical.
That's
Well,
that's what
sexuality out of it.
that's where Noof's microscope is.
Yeah, that's like ruined for the game for me. I was like, yeah, no, only gets 3 boners out of 10. Sorry, can't do it.
Well, I mean, that she kind of would look like that because if it's a UNC AI, she would be in the military clothing, just like the male AIs. So that does fit, the world and the canon. So no, I mean, the reaction was very positive. Obviously, some people aren't going to like it because it didn't improve graphically enough. It doesn't look like a Series X next gen game, which it doesn't. But
no, it doesn't.
What are you going to do? It's game been in development for quite some time.
Rand, I got a question for you, real quick. Do you think there needs to, because Maggie and I have talked about this in the past, and he had some good points about it, but we kind of differ. But do you think there needs to be like more grapple shot in the multiplayer? Because Maggie said, he wants to avoid it being too much like Call of Duty with like the jetpacks and flying around all over the place.
And I'm right.
They made the right decision making it an equipment pickup, only a couple uses per pickup, because if everybody had the grapple shot, then it wouldn't really be Halo. You just would have people flying around everywhere. It'd be ridiculous.
Exactly.
Be like 20 Spider-Man flying around the map.
Yeah,
I can't help but to feel, but I
hijacked.
I could use like a little bit more though. Maybe like, I don't know, a small percentage more.
Yeah, but you know what, Titan, when you can design your own, parameters later on, what is it going to be like around March or whatever?
Right.
Okay, then you can make your own. You can make your own, like just have grapples only or something stupid. Floor is lava. No, you can't touch the floor. I don't know.
Which
that would be cool.
And
that's a good idea.
Customize it, right?
Customize it. That about the rocket launcher. You pick it up and you always got like two rockets. I'm like, what was the whole point of picking it up? I can shoot 2 people and then it's empty. It's like, come on, man.
I have seen people say that they wanted the grapple to be a thing that you just are able to use all the time. Maybe that makes sense for the single player, but for the multiplayer in a competitive environment, absolutely not. That needs to be like a couple pickups and then you're done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I liked what I saw. I mean, I loved what I saw. I'm a Halo fan. It's my favorite franchise. Like I said, the one concern I do have is about how much of the open world is influenced by Ubisoft, and is it just going to be tedium to just go through each of the bases, or am I just going to have a ton of fun? Like, how is it structured into the campaign and the story? And if it's done well, then there'll be no complaints.
Please don't tell me that Master Chief has to climb on top of something to open up parts of the map, do we?
I hope not. Even they've gotten away from doing that. And well, actually, no. Don't you still do that in the Assassin's Creed games?
Yeah,
where you gotta
still do it.
find,
a few points.
They got away from that in Far Cry though. Remember you climbed the tower in Far? It was like so cool in 3. I remember doing it in 3 and being like, "This is a lot of fun." And then every single Ubisoft game started to do it, and you're like, "Yeah, this isn't cool anymore." You know. But yeah, I'm super excited. What do you guys think?
Well, let's go to Titan Drago since he's been chirping in here, and I know he's chomping at the bit. So, Drago, what was your impression?
Yeah, I've got so I got good and bad, like usual, because I watched this video many times, probably too many times, okay? And first things first, like I agree with you, like this has been greatly improved since the last time we saw Halo, and that's just the facts. It's nice to see like the lighting improvements and how like the details just seem to pop off that new lighting, you know what I mean? So that's really cool to see. And like, you know, so haters be damned because it just looks much better. Now, is it like wowing me? I would say very little here and there. Like the indoor fights to me seem really cool. Like everything I've seen in an enclosed environment, like I have zero issues with. Like all that looked really great. Especially like when the light turned on that one scene and it was like, boom, I don't know, it just looked really cool. It popped right there. But I do have issues though. And the issues I have are primarily with like the world design and the art team. Like I can't help but come to the realization that if this game was made by either like the Playground or the Coalition, that like every one of my, you know, nitpicks or whatever you want to call them, my problems with this, like if it was made by either one of them, I have no doubt in my mind these issues wouldn't even exist. Okay? And that goes into, you know, like 343 has never wowed me. Now, do I think this is the best Halo they've created? Absolutely. Okay. It's just, I love the open worldness of it. They, like you guys alluded to, the upgrade system, that looks really cool. So there's a lot of new things that they added. But like I said, my primary issues, and I got 4 issues really, and they're with the art team and the map design in one way, shape, or form. Okay. And so number 1 is the octagonal shapes around the Zeta ring at certain points here and there. You guys know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. There's like just these blatant octagonal shapes. Like, why are those there? That looks kind of cheap to me. It looks like it seems like rookie-ish, to put it boldly. You know what I mean? Number 2, the trees stick out like sore thumbs to me. I feel like they took like one like image of a tree, or they got one I feel like they got one asset for a tree, and they took that asset and they either elongated it or shrunk it or widened it, right? Because like the trees look really just awkwardly placed in the map. And that's a big one. Like it's like that goes into my 3rd gripe, is the lack of like the next gen open world lushness. Mm-hmm. Like, cause like let's compare this to Far Cry 6. Okay. Yeah. Like when you're playing Far Cry 6, just everything seemed like the foliage seems to really be there and looks fantastic. I'm not getting that at all. Like the environment, it just looks it's the art team. I don't care for the way the art team handled the open world, and that's a huge problem when your game is open world, right? And every time we got, you know, when we can see this grand landscape, it's like these trees are awkwardly placed that look ugly. I just got a lot of issues with that in general. And then my last gripe is like the lack of overwhelming AI on screen at once. Now, granted, we've only seen a small portion of the game, and you know there'll be a lot of opportunity for them to show that, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Otherwise, I think they would have shown that already, at least a portion of, you know, like some, if there was this really big hype team battle or big battle moment, I think they would have put that on display for everyone. So I don't think that's coming. And that's kind of like, I think I've counted like maybe somewhere around 13 enemies on screen was the most I've seen at once. And I didn't count, I didn't freeze the frame and count one by one, but there's around 13, and that's about the most I saw. And to me, that's like, It doesn't scream open world. It doesn't scream next gen. Like Rand said, it doesn't. We don't get that next gen wow factor from it. And it's like, why? So I got to blame it on the devs. I got to blame it on 343, right?
Speaking of Rand, we're not sure what has happened. He didn't indicate that he had to leave or anything early. So let's hope it's an internet or technicality and that he jumps back in here. Still awaiting word from Rand. But in the meantime, we will continue our discussion. Before we get over and find out how Mag feels on this, let's just quickly catch up with the chat because a lot of amazing people have jumped in here in the last 10 or 15 minutes, including Dizzy Delta. What's happening? Philly Eagle here. Lethal Terminus. What's going on? I see Princess Zelda has graced us with her presence, as well as Axel 1324. There you go. So we got 2 of the 3 tandem, including Doggy Dog from Axel's fantastic little podcast on Friday nights. And I see Sparhawk is here with as well. Mike Mullis is here.
Hey, Mike.
Gaming. Mike's here. Master Puppets hanging out with Mucho Churro. Regulator is here. What's going on? Albert G hanging out with us tonight. AB, what's going on? Casket Repair. Cyber Knox. Tyrone Israel. I think I'm starting to repeat a few. We got Rick Payne in up in here. Great name, Rick Payne.
What's up, Rick?
Yeah, Pure Flag. List goes on, man. Like I said, Chef Trouble, the Doctor, all hanging out with us as well. So the Mons is here. Masshole, great people. Draven Arrow, Bell Airy. Thank you guys. Philly Eagle, Juno's 23. What's up, stranger? How you been? But anyway, let's continue on this conversation. We can go back and forth right after everybody gets their main points out. So, Meg, let's find out. You're an old school Halo guy. How did you take this game? What did you think? We're going to live up to the hype, or is like I said, we don't know how the game's actually going to play out, but at least give me your impressions of what you thought about the campaign trailer.
I was happy with it. I was very happy with it. I looked at it. I was excited. I was interested. I said, okay, this is great. This is the way, this is what I came out to see. You know what I mean? I wanted to see something that was a little bit different, but a little bit the same, that kind of deal. They took a little bit of a chance by going out there, but you know what the thing is? They did that, like Rand was talking about the Ubisoft thing. Okay, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to avoid the Assassin's Creed comparison because I really don't think there is one there. I think there's more of a comparison to Far Cry, not just because they're both first-person shooters, but because of the sort of layout. Now, my understanding, obviously Far Cry is complete open world, right? We're talking open world sandbox, do whatever the hell you want kind of deal. I think you could do that here, but only in a limited amount. Right? I think it's going to be like hub worlds, like smaller maps, maybe like a number of smaller maps where you could do a bunch of side quests, whatever else, because it did show that you could pull up a map, right? So you could pull up a map. You could obviously hit a waypoint, do whatever, do a side quest, take over an outpost, that kind of thing. I like that. I enjoy that. I like that kind of idea where I could go and do whatever I want, not just sort of be, pigeonholed into, just this corridor shooter and just that's all there is to it, right? And I like the idea that I can go around and do these things. Now, that's going to play more into, let's say, like 3 months from now, 4 months from now, when the co-op comes in. Because then that's going to get interesting with the co-op, because then you can go start fucking around with a friend. You can go do here, you can go do that. Guys, let's do a couple outposts. It'll probably be the same idea as Far Cry and some of these other co-op games where you could go around and do whatever, where the person who's hosting will get, the progression and achievements, where the other person might be able to, level up or something. I have no idea. Maybe get some new gear, that kind of thing, new weapons. I have no idea because it hasn't really gone in that much detail. But we'll see how that goes. But I'm very interested to see how this all plays out. Now, a couple things. I wanted to say I like the idea with the pilot too. He's very much like the guerrillas from Far Cry 6, right? Like you could just call a car. You know what I'm saying? Like you're outside, like you go outside of a camp and you call a car and the dude shows up with a car playing salsa music. Same idea here. Like you can call like a Pelican or whatever the hell, and then the dude just drops it on the map and off you go, right? So I would imagine you have to get to a certain point to be able to unlock all these vehicles, that kind of thing. So he's going to be sort of like your armorer, so to speak, right? And he's like kind of watching your armor, your gear, your weapons, your vehicles, that kind of stuff. It's kind of cool. I like that. The other thing is that I still don't believe. Some people were talking about the old machines like the Xbox. Oh, how's it going to play on the Xbox One? How's it going to play on the Xbox One S? Blah, 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 blah. Is it any mystery that the cloud gaming on older consoles that we're going to have Series X server blades are coming out the same week that Halo's coming out. There are no old gen versions of this game. It's only going to be next gen, and it will be streamed if you have that last gen consoles. Sorry, still got that goddamn cough.
Matt, can I cut you off there and ask you a question?
No, but go ahead.
So anything that I've seen doesn't look like it's just not last gen capable. Everything I've seen, because there's not a ton of AI on screen. They don't look to be a ton of assets on screen at once to me.
Fair enough, yeah.
So, like, do you think that that's like a necessity? I guess my question is, do you think that having the cloud is like a necessity for maybe, let's say, original Xbox One or maybe a Slim? I guess that's my question to you.
Yeah, we haven't seen everything that this campaign has to offer, right? We only saw some snippets, so we don't really know how big or small this game is actually going to be. But at the same point, you're absolutely right, because you could still play Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is a monstrous, gorgeous open world, and you could still play it on an Xbox One. Right, so you can play it on an Xbox One, a 1S, whatever the hell, and of course it's going to get incrementally better as you get the better hardware and everything else. But we don't know everything that's involved in this. We don't know how deep this is going to go. So I still think that I mean, like I said, the timing is so conspicuous. It's you know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous that they're going to be launching this cloud servers with the Series X consoles, with the Series X and the server blades around the same time that Halo Infinite drops. I can't help but think that actually, if you have an Xbox One, that you're going to be using the cloud gaming on that, right? So anyway, that's what I think there. What else was I going to say? Now, the other thing is, a lot of people are wondering about the backstories and all this other kind of stuff. I don't want to get too deep into it, but I was like, oh, there's a dude over there. He's got like Locke's helmet, stuck on the side of his, his armor or something like that. What happened to Locke? Or why did it start off? And why is Chief floating in space? And all this other kind of stuff. What happened to him? He wasn't floating in space in the end of 5, right? So something must have happened. So what I think they're going to do, very much like Assassin's Creed in this respect, okay, of those, what I like to call the warp moments. Those warp moments, like, I'm sure anybody who's played Valhalla or played Odyssey, when you go off to, what the hell is it called? To Asgard or whatever, and you play a different character, and like, there's like a 2 or 3 hour little adventure, and it's like a tiny little map, you know what I mean? Almost like an island map, and you do like a little side story, and it fleshes out the entire story, and it gives you more of the backstory of what's going on and everything else. I think that Halo's going to do that. And it actually would make a lot of sense. So that what happens is, I would imagine that 90% of the game is going to take place on this Halo ring with Master Chief and blah, blah, blah. We all know that. Okay? But if you want to find out what happened to Locke, I think there will be one of those quote-unquote warp moments where they'll be able to go off. And then, maybe you'll be on Earth. I don't know. Wasn't Earth one of the maps in the multiplayer, if I'm not mistaken? I might be mistaken, but I thought that one of the maps was on Earth, like planet Earth, not on a Halo ring. So, like, maybe there's a backstory there that we don't even know about, or whatever, right? They could have warp moments there where you might be going with, like, I don't know, one of these other teams, and then that'll help flesh out the story as to how Chief ended up in this particular predicament. And
well, let's ask Rand. Rand, do you know anything about that? Do you know if this is all on the Zeta ring, or if there's other planets or whatever you go to?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would assume it's mostly going to be, if not all, going to be on the Zeta ring. Because it'd be kind of weird to have this big open Halo world, but then you also are elsewhere.
Yeah.
Right? So
that's why I'm thinking these warp moments might make a little more sense, so it doesn't take away from the narrative and the main story, but at least you'd be able to find out what happened. Because, I mean, they put these little teasers in the trailer right there. I mean, Locke's helmet is clearly sitting on that dude's shoulder or whatever the hell, right? So it's like, okay, they're not just going to walk past it and be like, oh, well, I guess he's dead. You know what I mean? Just carry on, right? Obviously, there's got to be a much more to this. Or
so is that? Well, what if that's like an Easter egg or something? Or
yes, but how about this?
Or maybe additional content in the future.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was about to get into. I was going to say, like, a la Destiny route, right? You got that 10-year plan, whatever the hell, right? You're going to be doing this 10-year plan, and then maybe you can, maybe season 2. Okay, because obviously season 1, they're going to be introducing the Forge. They're going to be doing a co-op and all that kind of stuff. And then who knows what else they're going to drop in there. Maybe season 2 or maybe season 3 will be like the story of Locke. And then you could go to a part of map and then you'd be able to warp off and then you could go do you know, that DLC about Locke and whatever else happened to him. And then you could go off over here and then what happened to this team and how did Chief end up over here and get the backstory. You know what I'm saying? They have all this opportunity and all these literal years to be able to release all this and really flesh out the story so that 2-3 years from now, this story is going to be so epic and so massive. It's going to be like a Lord of the Rings style idea, right? So they could keep building on that and building on that and building on that. And then they will presumably not have a problem with content. Because, I mean, what are you going to do? You know, after like 5 years, you're going to start running out of ideas and content. Well, they need to flesh it out, right? So they're going to have to keep, moving it forward and moving it forward. So I say that they hold on to those things from the main campaign and they will take place maybe a year from now. But anyways, that's what I saw about the whole thing. But anyways, I'm excited for it. I'm happy for it. Listen, it's on Game Pass. It's not like it's costing me. There's no paywall here. You know what I mean? It's not like it's not like on a PlayStation where I got to pay $105 for a game. There's no paywall. So I'm going to be there day one, whatever, and I'm going to play it. I'm going to love it. I'm going to have a great time. I thought it looked great. The trees did look a little funky, though, Titan. You're absolutely right. They pissed me off. They look kind of like triangle-y, you know what I I? Like a little polygon.
They're space trees. They're gravity challenged.
Yeah, gravity challenged trees. Yeah, it's a great explanation. But yeah, it's just. Anyways, I'm excited for it. I'm there day one, and I'm really, really interested to see where this all goes. And I want to see not my reaction. I'm not worried about me. Right. I want to see how the general public takes this, especially with the free-to-play multiplayer. That's a huge component. Let's see if it starts taking people away from your war zones or from your Fortnites. Who knows? I'm not saying entirely, but it might help, right? Call of Duty, but I'll tell you one thing, though. Call of Duty Vanguard and Battlefield, I could tell you when it comes to mindshare in the last couple of weeks, and especially over the last week alone, I could tell you with absolute certainty that nobody is talking about Vanguard in Battlefield. Whether they have you noticed that? Whether you love Halo or hate Halo or you love Xbox or you hate Xbox or whatever the hell you're into, okay? Everybody's talking Halo. So, like I said, positive or negative, it's got the mind share. So that's a monstrous thing. So I'm very, very interested to see the trajectory and see where this all goes.
Yeah. Go ahead, Titan.
Did you guys see what they posted that alloy crap and that shit just got buried? Like PlayStation tried to steal some thunder. You see that? And it just did not work.
Titan, you know what they tried to do? You know when adults are talking and a 3-year-old's pulling on your pant leg? Yeah, and he's going, Daddy, Daddy, Daddy. And you're like, shut up. Go to the kids' table. Adults are here. Right? That's what they did. That was the most. And you know what? I got nothing against Sony marketing because I got to tell you, Sony marketing is absolutely brilliant. And they crushed last generation on their marketing alone. Never mind the fact that their AAA games were magnificent. All of them. Even Days Gone. Okay? They were all great.
No,
however,
Days Gone sucked.
Shut Oh, you said that, Rand. Okay.
I'll
let that slide. I thought that was Titan. I was about to say something really nasty.
It was
politely disagree.
It was mediocre in every way.
Randall, I got the platinum on that game and I adored it. But anyways,
wow. Mags cried just talking about that game on this show.
Yeah.
It was so sad. The story was so wonderful. It was so touching. Anyhow.
Yeah, it only took 15 hours before it actually got somewhat okay. Once you push through those first 20 hours, it's actually an okay game.
Sorry, which game was it again?
Hold on, I'm not taking Rand's thing because he also thought Death Stranding was great. But anyways, we're gonna step off. Anyways, I'm just joking around. But the thing is, Sony by doing that, now you made me forget what I was saying. By Sony doing that, it was just like I said, their marketing has always been on point. But this was the most absolute pathetic attempt at trying to get attention I've ever seen in my entire life. It's like the kid lying on the ground in the grocery store because his mom won't buy him a candy bar, right? And it was like that. And I was just like, oh my God, guys, please stop. Like that was cringe times 1,000. So they should never have done that. Just let it breathe. Because you know what the thing is? Xbox, when Sony has something great coming out, Xbox congratulates them on them and gives them room to breathe. Then Sony, those cunts, they turn around and as soon as Xbox announced something, like, we have something too. Sorry, I said the C word. I hope you all loved it.
It's business.
They tried, right? They tried.
Your thunder, baby. That's what's called.
I know, but at the same time, there's a little bit of public tact for Christ's
sake. Well, why let Halo have all the attention when they got Horizon?
Sony has no tact.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to Horizon 2, but I'm not thinking about Horizon until February. Within the couple of weeks that it comes out, right? Then I'm going to get excited for it. But until then,
So
You know
let me
what I
ask
mean?
you this, Mac.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
So you think, Jim Ryan's out there browsing Twitter, Worldwide Jim, right? Worldwide Jim, as
Jamaican Jim, yes.
as King David calls him. You think he's like browsing Twitter and he's like, all right, what are we gonna announce tomorrow? And then he sees at 7 p.m. Sunday night. Wait a minute, Xbox is showing off a Halo campaign overview. And then Jim just immediately goes into Slack and is like, what can we show from one of our games tomorrow? I want something whipped up within 12 hours. And then they came up with the Horizon thing. Do you think? I guess the question I'm asking is,
I think they have
do you
that
think
pre-planned.
they did that? Was it already planned for a Monday?
Like,
and it just
I think
coincided?
I think Sony has these things already done. Like they have like a vault of fucking announcement little shit like that. Just every time Microsoft and especially Microsoft, not so much Nintendo, but every time Microsoft comes out with something, they kind of got like, here's our counter reaction. We're going to throw this out there because I just find that the timing is it's too coincidental. Like, seems like every time Xbox does a major announcement, Sony follows it up within 24 hours or the same day with something.
I believe,
obviously it's not on a whim, but they got guys in that department going, I want you to get some stuff ready, and we're either going to save it for ourselves for when the time is right, or we're going to basically be a counterpunch to anything that Microsoft has tossed out, and then they hope to see if it hits.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, like guys who do like TikTok and stuff, they'll film like 10 or 12 in one day, and then they release them slowly, right? That's the same idea. I could see them doing like 5 or 6 spots, and they have it all done. The production's done, the editing is done, everything's ready, and then they sit there and they wait for an announcement. They go, "All right, drop number 3, whatever the hell it is, right? Drop the Forbidden West one, or drop the God of War one, or whatever, right?" And they hang on to them like it's like an ace up their sleeve, right? It makes sense, but I'm just saying, and like I get it, I get every aspect of it, but I mean, listen, you got nothing from September to February coming out from Sony. Like, that's not like, I don't know, like just trying to steal someone else's thunder because they're doing well. Like, come on, man. You've been eating good for 20 fucking years. Like, let you know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. You're still going to make your money and everything else. But the problem is a lot of people did look at it negatively. And I think that kind of thing can, in a smaller part, can still backfire on them. That's what I'm trying to get at, is that people are like, come on, man. Like, why do you got to be like this? Like, the fact that we're talking about this right now and the chat's listening to us right now about the same thing, right? They're all thinking the same thing. Like it's a scum. I don't know. It seems kind of scummy to me. Give it a couple days, then do the Forbidden West. Then you'll get a little bit more positive attention out of it. I don't know. That's just me.
You're right. Hey, real quick, do you guys remember what I said about the last time they showed Halo? Do any of you guys remember one of the things I said? I said the editing was terrible on the last one. And the best thing about this video is the editing of what they showed. They made it like really hard to nitpick anything because of the way they edited this video. I went through it, right? And you can count to a slow 5 Mississippi. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. And by the time you get to 5, there's a new scene throughout the video. There's not like that whole, I'm going to shoot these guys, then I'm going to take this elevator, and I'm going to fucking wait for it to climb to the very top as I watch all this these clouds pop in, and I'm going to get to the top. That whole scene was terrible the first time they showed it. That junk is gone in this whole video, and I think that's one of the reasons why this video is so much better.
I mean, but they were different though. One was a complete gameplay demo, which showed you 7 minutes of a continuous.
But still, you could still edit gameplay.
Well, not really. If you want to show continuous gameplay,
well, that's a mistake.
Really.
That's a mistake.
Some people really like that. They want to see what the game actually plays like in a 10-minute chunk.
I'm saying put yourself in Microsoft's shoes, right? If you're Microsoft and you're about to show your flagship title for the first gameplay of your, right, and this is last time we're talking about, whenever the fuck it was. If you're Microsoft and you're about to show your flagship title gameplay for the first time, do you want to show there was just no common sense right there. It's like, why wouldn't you edit those eyesores out? That's just me.
Okay. Well, I guess it's my time to weigh in, unless everybody else has got the jibber jabber out of the way for this part. We'll get it. I'll get my 2 cents out of the way real quick, and then I do have a couple of questions to kind of toss at you. First and foremost, I'm just going to say, look, I think Halo's going to be good. Will it be great? That remains to be seen. Thank God the multiplayer seems to be making a majority of people happy, because at the end of the day, that's where most people are going to play. That's what's going to be the bread and butter of Halo, regardless of this campaign tanks or it's amazing. So thank God for that, right? I would say this much: if this was any other company outside of Microsoft and 343, and the whole visual presentation aspect would not be as big of a deal. I think people would be more willing to let this slide, and I think that's almost a fact. But at the same time, we got to call a spade a spade. Rand alluded to it at the top of the show when he was giving his thoughts that, we said this before. And it's been prominent with almost every single Xbox or PlayStation console that's launched. They've always had showcase titles, games made by first party that sort of elevate above and beyond anything else that third party has been able to do. Sony, you have to give them credit, are notorious for making phenomenally looking games. Whether you hate them or you love them, they knock it out of the park, which just goes to show, I don't know where there's a difference here. Hardware specs wise, things are very close, but we're obviously seeing a talent gap somewhere. Now, I know Halo is artistically interpreted. It has a stylized graphic. It always has. I mean, it's space, it's sci-fi. Stuff is not meant to look like it would in GTA or perhaps even Far Cry for that matter, right? Everything has a very style, but at the same time, you could say that for Killzone. And I'm going to go out here and take a lot of heat for this, but I can tell you this right now, in my personal opinion, Killzone Shadowfall on the launch PS4 looks better than this Halo, in my personal opinion. Okay, I'm going right out there and saying that. Mind you, that game kind of tanked and didn't do well, but visually, that was not the problem with Killzone back on the PlayStation 4. It wasn't the graphics, it was other things, storytelling. I'm always concerned with this Halo because, again, they're getting away from the traditionally linear-based, story-based narrative. They're still having story, but as you can see, it almost reminds me of the Ghost of Tsushima thing, where you're doing parts of the story within little segments of a particular, obviously the ring or whatever it is, that sort of thing. So, obviously with Halo, and this is where I don't know if I can cut them slack or I got to go all in, because they've had plenty of time to make this game. I don't know if it's because of the big change in direction, because not only have they gone through various personnel at the top of the helm and the way that the game is planned out or directed, but we've known that obviously they switched engines, and that's always a huge feat, is when you're switching game engines, going from the traditional engine now to the slip space. And then you're also trying to make this game they don't really care so much what it looks like so much on the Xbox One platform, but they want it to run well. We all know that despite your graphics, if a game runs like dog shit on a piece of hardware, it's going to get torched. So I don't know how much we got people out there, and this is where I'm going to come back to Rand, is about the cross-gen aspect of a game, right? Okay? Like Doom, for example. Those geniuses that managed to get Doom to run on the Nintendo Switch, but did it run very well? No, not in comparison to the other games. It's a miracle they got it to run at all. But you see the textures got downgraded. Things were missing from the environments. Obviously, it certainly was a downgrade, because now obviously they weren't trying to make that game. That was a complete one-off port or whatever, and they've done it since then with those games. But you know what I'm saying? Microsoft's concern is that this game has to run well on Xbox One hardware, and you go from a console that's the base model, which is where they have to start, which has 1.48 or 1 point something teraflop engine that can't process near as many floating points of instruction and all the rest of that shit. Now you also got a console that's got a brand new solid state drive in it. I mean, like I said, correct me if I'm an idiot or sounding off kilter here, Rand. You can jump in anytime. I won't be offended, but there's a lot of variables with Halo. Not the fact to mention they've sort of gone to get back to the drawing board. Last year, I don't know if last year when they presented the game, was that how they really intended this game to look this year? But because people made a gripe about it, was that the reason it went back to the drawing board? Because if we didn't complain, would we have been getting last year's game then? Period. Was that how it was supposed to look? And there's always those things too, and you see this on Twitter. This was the most common one. You see a picture of the new guys. It's not Atrix. What's the hell of his name? But you see that close up. Now they showed the picture before last year where everybody made fun of him because he looked, or just recent, a couple months back where he had looked like low textures, and now you see another picture of him and he looks almost lifelike. And then of course it's, well, that's not in engine. This is what throws people off, is what's in engine, what's not in engine. Some games look just as good in engine as they do in the game. And that's where this kind of shit needs to either stop, because so many games are so deceiving, because you screen cap we saw this one on Uncharted too, where Uncharted 4, they get those amazing, not in engine captured, and it'll look like, wow. Then you see the in game and you're like, that doesn't look quite right. That sort of stuff. No, I'm not talking about Craig, but I personally I think Halo is going to be good. I'm going to enjoy the game. It has to deliver on story more than anything, because I'm a little concerned about the open aspect of this game. And I don't want to feel like this game is sort of somewhat incomplete with everything just coming down the pipeline. And that's the other thing. If this is the only Halo that we get for this entire generation of console, which something tells me in all likelihood it is, we may not see another official Halo game, or certainly something with the number 6 or 7 or anything else in the number. My question is this it for Halo? Because I would like to see the developers go out there and push the envelope on graphic fidelity. And, and I said this before, and this is where I shut people up. Look at the graphics of the CGI Halo movies, right? Same universe, correct? You see the detail level on that? I know it's not quite the same, right? Taking a CGI planned movie is not the same as an open world game. But do you see my point, though? You see how good that shit looked?
Well, yeah.
But here's look at the video game, which looks nothing even close. And at this point in time, I thought that gap would be next to gone, because we do see games out there now that have basically closed the gap between CGI and photorealism, regardless of the style they're going for. You see it with Ratchet and Clank now, where, honest to God, Ratchet and Clank fucking looks like a Pixar movie. The fucking game looks like it came off a film strip, you know? So these are my points. At the end of the day, visuals aren't the most important thing. If this was any other game other than a Halo on Xbox, people would not be trashing as much. And at the end of the day, it's all about the gameplay. It's all about having fun. And if they deliver on that, which I think they will, we're in for a good time. But I would, because it's a showcase title, I feel a little bit disappointed and let down here. I still, while they have improved this game quite a bit since last year, you look at other games similar to it, and it's either other developers are on another level, or they don't know what the fuck they're doing it.
And that's what I default to, kind of. And I might be right or wrong in that, but I don't know. But Noof, you mentioned in engine and not in engine, CGI or not. My thing is, the question we need to ask our fucking selves is it in the game?
Yeah.
Right? And fuck everything else. Is it in the game? Fucking who's with me, man?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, exactly. I don't really. I'm not going to get into this. I have no dog in this fight. I'm just listening casually.
Well, okay, so I know 343 can make a good looking game, because we've seen it. Halo 4 was one of the best looking 360 games ever.
Yeah.
And that looked like an early Xbox One title. And Halo 5 Guardians was, especially when it got that update for the One X, an extremely very good looking game. So we know they can put out the graphics.
Right.
What I think happened here isn't that suddenly the people that knew how to make a game look really good, like Halo 4 or 5, left the company. I think it was more an artistic decision to make the game look more like the OG Halo, to bring it back to that for the fans, because that's what people were really upset about, was how Halo 5, especially in the multiplayer, didn't really look or really feel too much like a Halo game. So I think they made the conscious decision, art style wise, to bring it back, to have it look like the old Halos, instead of hey, let's have a whole lot of post filtering and bloom that Halo 5 used a lot. So I think that's one of the reasons why it looks the way it looks.
Do you think that was a good idea?
I mean, I don't know. We'll see what the reaction is.
I mean, already, I'm getting a temperature in the room here, from other people. Is that it may not, I get it. I get why. I understand why, from an artistic level. However, it almost seems like a lot of people are kind of like, well, can't you just leave the old Halo where it was
See,
and then move
Halo's
forward?
So the problem is Halo. It's one of the franchises that is stuck in between pleasing their fans and trying to push everything forward.
Well said.
And Microsoft has that battle not only with Halo but with like Gears as well.
Yeah.
Where you have this very large, or you maybe saw like a small but very largely vocal community that wants Halo to play, or Gears to play exactly like it's always played. And they don't want changes to the Nash shield. They don't want assault rifles to be better, or they don't want sprint, and they don't want the radar to be changed. Like, it needs to play like that. But then to kind of bring it to modern times, like, you have to make changes. Like, I think for the most part, most people are probably over how Gears plays in multiplayer, right? And I think most people have moved on from first-person shooters, and they want it to play more like Call of Duty or Apex Legends or Battlefield, and they don't want what they would call quote-unquote archaic gameplay that Halo has. So 343 is stuck between a rock and a hard place. Like, we need to respect the legacy and the wishes of the super hardcore, but then we also need to appeal to, the younger generation and people that wouldn't normally play Halo. So you have these kind of compromises. And I think 343 is doing a really good job with it on the multiplayer aspect.
Yeah.
Like I said, we'll yet to see how it plays out in the single player. But as for cross-gen, you see, I think the game looks the way it looks simply because of the artistic choice. Because we've seen 343 make great games, and then plus, like, look at all their Xbox One titles, like Metro Exodus or Red Dead Redemption, or like Marvel. Like, you have games on the Xbox One that looked phenomenal, right? And you have games now, like Forza Horizon 5 is a cross-gen game, and Forza Horizon 5 is one of the best-looking games ever.
That is true.
The best. So I don't think cross-gen is that much of is really an excuse.
But I think in fairness to Forza and for the Horizon series, they haven't really departed. In all intents and purposes, it's more or less the same game, but it has better visuals or added features. Like, going from Halo 5 to this Halo Infinite looks drastically different in every single
you're
way.
right, but I think that's a conscious choice by the developers.
Yeah.
I don't think that they set out to be like, let's make a Halo game that looks like garbage considering like what we did with 5 and what other developers are doing with the Xbox One. It was just like, our artistic milestone and touchstones that we want to hit are basically Halo CE style, which is very, very stylized. And that's very apparent from these trailers that is what they were going for. Plus you add in like the open world,
I call this Halo. To me, it feels like the renovation project. Ever guys watch a renovation show? Yeah. Where at some point in time, the builder literally looks at the people and goes, "You know what? It's not worth renovating the house. Like, we have to tear it down from scratch because it's just like, I could put new paint on the wall, but at the end of the day, you still have a rotten wall and your pillars are falling down. And every house is only as strong as its foundation." And that's where I feel like perhaps the foundation is not right here. It never was. And the game really probably should have been almost scrapped indefinitely. But the problem is, with so many millions of dollars, massive fan expectation, and, all that sort of stuff, they kind of went ahead with it and decided, we're just going to keep putting Band-Aids on this fucking house until it sticks. Maybe I'm totally wrong in this analogy, but that's how I'm feeling with it.
That was an awesome comparison. Rand, you talked about the game. You talked about 343 being in between a rock and a hard place, and you talked about those BR games. Did you hear what Dr. Disrespect said when he saw this?
Yeah, I mean, is it a surprise? The dude, I mean, I love Dr. Disrespect, but he's probably bored playing the same games constantly every day for the last 3 years.
Yeah, so he made a bold statement. He said, Halo needs a BR to stay relevant after the first initial 4 months or whatever he said. Something like that, 4 months or whatever.
3 weeks.
3 weeks? It was
Halo,
I thought he said
Halo Infinite will be dead after 3 weeks.
Well, I think he could have worded that better, and he usually does word things slightly harsh. You know, he goes a little bit overboard from time to time.
But persona, right? So
yeah. But I do think he's got a point somewhere in there, right? Like, because to me, like I've said this how many times? Like, to me, it's a missed opportunity if during one of these Halo seasons or whatever or updates they don't release a BR. I
mean, we know according to the leak. And we've heard it. There is a clip of the announcer saying Battle Royale. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Battle Royale mode that will come, considering this is a 10-year plan. Who's to say a Battle Royale won't come a year from now?
Right.
Now, I think maybe a lot of the decisions that Noof is upset with or that we all kind of question, I think that comes down to planning and leadership. And we know what happened to the leadership. A dude left. Joseph Staten's in charge now, and Joseph Staten basically have to like come in. And I had heard that the state of when Joseph Staten came in, the word around was that Halo was like and like Infinite was like a complete clusterfuck. And I think that comes down to management, because I don't think management knew what they wanted to do. I don't think they didn't have a vision for this, and I think that's why it took so long to make. And I think that's why you see some weird decisions about like certain things. And maybe if you go back in time and you have Joseph Staten in charge from the beginning, maybe Halo Infinite looks completely different. Maybe like we don't know. I think he just came in. Clearly, there was a problem.
I can tell you guys this much. I bet you last year when they had to make the conscious decision to pull the plug on Halo for another year was probably one few times in Phil's tenure that I bet you he went behind closed doors and let out a big, for fuck's sakes.
Oh,
because,
for sure, dude.
Because if you look at last year alone, the marketing that they already had spent, like they had all these deals with potato chips and chocolate bars and energy drinks, and the fucking game didn't come out. I was like, I bet you they were like, oh man.
But you know what? It's
but
the better decision because we're going to get a better game out of it. Yeah. And considering, and I think Phil's even talked about this, like nobody could get the console. Nobody can really even get the console. Halo's almost better positioned to be launched this year than it was last year. But
very true.
Yeah, I don't know. I always do wonder, like, okay, if we had Joseph Staten in there from the beginning, and if you had competent leadership from the start with a vision of what you wanted Halo Infinite to be, you know, who knows how much different it would have been. So
I think there's a lot to that, and I think they kind of started. I feel like they started a little bit ass backwards in the development of this game, and my example for that is those octagonal shapes I was mentioning earlier that just stick out, where like the kind of like the ring meets like space. You know, like you could see space. And then you could see these fucking like octagonal, just gray. It's like unused assets that they plan on putting something there, like whether it be, I don't know, fucking know, like
See, I actually like that because it gives it that like otherworldly look that you aren't. That you're on
no, that's fucking. Look, it looks cheap as fuck.
I get it because the way it looks, but like I actually kind of dig that. Because of where you're on the Halo, and you're looking around, and you're like, oh yeah, like this isn't Earth. You know how
that's a solid point.
Other Halos like look like, right? Like
well,
Halo 2,
well, some of the part seems to have atmosphere, right? Most of the world has atmosphere. You look up and the sky is fucking blue, but in that one part, it's like you're looking down and you got these gray pillars. They're not even pillars. It's just like,
but it's man-made. Rand's got a point.
It doesn't look like it though. Like how do you know that? Because like it doesn't look like that to me. It just looks like where space meets the fucking ring, and there's no atmosphere there.
Though. But it's a fabrication of what the Earth actually is, right? And like the structures and everything. It's not gonna look. It's gonna look a little off, like right?
Because it's not gonna very be off.
Like, well, okay, take it. Like, okay, hold on a second. Have you seen real grass and then you see the fake grass? Like it fucking looks somewhat like it, but it's a little off, right? So I mean,
your fucking redhead looks more believable, man.
My redhead.
Real quick, boys. We got a super chat I want to get to before it goes out of the sight, out of mind, and it comes in from my good buddy Eternal Shaddai. from our Good Morning Xbox panel. He drops a $10 super chat and says, I would like to welcome Rand to the B team of Noof's 2 channels. Hope to see him on the A team on Sunday soon. Question is, what are your thoughts on Craig's new haircut? 343 spent money on the barber. Anyone want to answer?
Noof has asked me to be on
yes.
That's just too early for me. I'm never up I'm almost going to bed at that time. I am a night owl.
You're a night owl, yeah.
One day, Rand, we got to get you.
I'm a night owl. Like, I'm going to bed at like 8 a.m. because I just finished a book or whatever. And hey man, Craig got that mohawk, right? Looking good. Looking I don't know.
Like, was that a nice shot though? Was that a nice shot by Microsoft? Just like throwing him front and center, like, yo, here he is, kind of deal.
Yeah, well, you knew that because Joseph Staten, said on Twitter, like, look out for him or whatever. So like we knew he was in it.
Well, you didn't have to look out for him. He's practically
got the upgrade. He's got the mohawk. He's got the goatee. He's probably got a sponsorship from Manscaped or Brutescaped or whatever. He's got the products, right? Like.
Well, let me tell you something. Yeah, what happened was last year Craig was depressed because he was depressed with the whole situation. But what happened? Joseph Staten came in and said, "Yeah, this guy knows how to do Halo, bitch." So that's what happened. And I stopped getting depressed. He stopped getting depressed. He went out and grew a goatee. Maybe he met a female Atriox or banished whatever girlfriend somewhere. That's what happened up in space. And he got himself a hairdo and a beard. And that motherfucker, he living the high life there. He just ain't hoping that meet Master Chief down the barrel. That's all. But he loving his newfound fame, baby.
I'm picturing the goatee and the mohawk. He's got like a spiced pumpkin latte in his hand. Listens to like the Arkells or some ridiculous indie band.
By the way, Rand, if you're not acquainted, that is my character called the Safe House Sam.
Yeah,
you do have a lot of characters.
Yes, I do.
And Titan plays himself, which is just an asshole. So yeah, that's the only character he plays. Carry on, Noof.
No, you guys go have it. I'm done. I've had my say. I got one thing to ask, and I'll start with you, Mag, in this, and perhaps the rest of you guys can allude to it too. It's related to this Halo, but it's also. Do you think by having the games in Game Pass is kind of sort of taking a certain load of pressure up? Perhaps the onus on getting games done or done in a certain time frame or done with a certain amount of expectation are not quite there, because you can kind of go, well, people are paying, $12 a month or $15 a month. Like, who cares? At the end of the day, if they love it and people buy into it, great. But if they don't, it's like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah.
Like I think with Sony's games, they know how much each of their games has to hit on all the right notes. I think they're very aware of it because that is for them their bread and butter. They don't have a service that's on par with Game Pass. And we saw what happened with Days Gone, how that game came out looking fantastic, but because it didn't score as high as other first-party games, the game kind of got shoveled a little bit, became the butt of a few jokes, et cetera, et cetera. And you notice how like Sony almost like shoveled that game under the rug in a hurry.
Yeah.
Whereas the other games got lifted up and lots of advertising and more marketing and stuff. But Days Gone kind of really was like the ugly stepchild, like, oh, it's a sub-8 game in the ratings. We better get rid of this one real quick. Lots of promotion for Death Stranding too, until the Metacritic scores were far less than when Shiny, and then they kind of did the same thing with that too. As quick as it came out, it was like, let's push this one aside. Let's get rid of it.
Yeah. In regards to what you're saying about the Game Pass thing, I think that could go both ways. For me, that's a 50-50. And the 50-50 is this. Yes, they could use it as a crutch that they could fall back on and say, well, people are already subscribed anyway. They're already there. They could just kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like, it almost seems like there's a bit more forgiveness from that end because people aren't paying upwards of like $100 per game.
It's like when somebody gives you something for free, like food, for example, and it tastes like absolute ass, and you're just like, well, it was free.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at, right? So there is a little bit of that. I'm not condoning that. I'm just saying that it's like Netflix. Like, how like Netflix is like, hey, you should go check out this show. It's about whatever, right? And you're like, well, I already got Netflix anyway. I ain't paying for it. So let me just check out an episode, right? So you kind of like just go in there and you check it out. You're like, yeah, it's all right. And, I didn't have to pay for it. It's not like I had to go to the movie theater to watch this, right? So I kind of see that angle, but at the same time, the problem is with something like Halo, which is so big and so huge and has such a legacy behind it, especially with the 20-year anniversary, a new console, everybody's talking about it. The last thing you want to do is have this thing fall flat on its face, right? So they got to make sure that this is absolute AAA quality from the fucking jump. It cannot stagger. It cannot stutter. It has to come out strong, and it has to come out well, because the bad press will kill this game, regardless of the fact that it's in a service, subscription, whatever basis, whatever. Because of that, it doesn't really make a difference. If the press is not great, and if the mind share is not great, then it's a problem. You know what I'm saying? Then it's going to be a problem, and then you know what? Then Dr. Disrespect will be 100% right. And then in 3 weeks, nobody will be talking about it anymore. And then what do we have coming up? And that's the big actually, if you think about that in the forecast. Now, I know that there are games coming up in the later on in 2022, even early 2022, and in the spring, presumably, because we don't have exact nailed down dates on some of those games. Okay, but those aren't earth-shattering games that are going to change, change the tide of what's going on, the console war, so to speak, or whatever, right? These are smaller games. I think the next big game is that vampire game. I always forget the goddamn name of it. What is it called? The one that's coming out in the summer, Red something or other, Red Dawn or some
Redfall.
Redfall. Red Dawn, idiot. Anyway, the point is, between now and then, what's coming out? That's huge. Really nothing, right? So Halo has to fucking hit. So the thing is, they cannot go back and say, well, let's patch it up as it goes along. By the time you patch it up, by the time you fix it up, people have moved on. Look at Gears 5. Gears 5 was a great game, okay? Multiplayer, they didn't do anything special, whatever. A lot of people were complaining about some bugs in the campaign, this and that. The co-op wasn't working properly. People were disappearing, getting stuck in pieces of wood or whatever the hell was going on, right? By 3 weeks later, no one was talking about Gears 5 anymore at all. And that was supposed to be a flagship title because it was, during that time, a couple years ago, it was very sparse, okay, what was coming out from Xbox. This is not the time. Okay, this is the time that they have to set a solid foundation, and Halo has to be that foundation. So I get what you're saying, and like I said, 100% of the time, you're right. People will do that. They'll just put it in there and just be like, all right, we'll kind of, figure it out as it goes along. Subscription service. Fans won't be pissed off, and they really are, because they're like, well, I didn't have to pay for this. But this game has to hit, and it has to hit hard right from day one. Anyway, that's just me.
All right. Any further thoughts before we move it along? This topic is certainly, I knew it was going to be a bit of a heavy hitter, as it always is, and it has been on various podcasts throughout the week. So any further thoughts, or we will move along?
Yeah.
I want to throw my 2 cents in on that question, because I don't think so. I think I kind of lean toward the opposite. I think the pressure is more off of the devs than it is on them with Game Pass. I think it's easy to look at like 343 and Halo, which is here and now. But let's look at like the other facts that like that are not here and now. Like Halo, like last year, Halo's been delayed a year, and Forza looks like a game that 343 has been developing over the course of about 30 years, if you know what I'm saying. Forza looks amazing. But is that due to Game Pass? I don't think that has any relevance when it comes to Forza. So I'm going to say Game Pass has no negative impact on game development. Even for like a games as a service game, like it's still okay, right? Because that kind of fits. Like take Grounded for example. Like, all right, Grounded came out, it got put into Game Pass. There was a good amount to it, but they've added a lot to that game, and they just added a recent update just here recently. So maybe Rand can come up with maybe a negative, but I sure can't see one here right now.
About the Game Pass whole thing, and
right?
Well, I hate the argument that it's okay for something to be mediocre because it's in a subscription. I think that does a disservice to Game Pass. I think that also doesn't do good, or it doesn't draw people to your service if the critique is, hey, yeah, you can play these for free, but they aren't worth your time, right?
Right.
I have all the subscription services. I have Netflix, I got Hulu, I got HBO Max. I have the choice of whatever I want. But I'm not watching something that's garbage simply because
Mhm.
I have it on a subscription. I'm only watching stuff that I'm interested in or stuff that's really good. For example, I think Crackdown 3 was a horrible game. Crackdown 3 didn't bring in any new subscribers. Nobody talked about that game outside of a week after it released. And most of the people who did talk about it talked about how horrible or mediocre it was. That's not what Microsoft needs. They need people to talk about how great Halo Infinite is, how amazing Forza is, how awesome and epic Starfield is. Because when you have those games that are really freaking good, they reach this kind of culture talking point where then it spreads out and other people hear about it and like, oh, maybe I should check it out. Why did Squid Game all of a sudden become Netflix's most popular show? It certainly wasn't because the show was just on Netflix and free and mediocre. No, because it provided something that people were looking for, and it was actually really well done. So I think Microsoft just being like, okay, we're happy with a mediocre Halo, or we're okay with a Fable that's just like, whatever, it's a 70 on Metacritic. What are people complaining about? They get it for free. I think that's the wrong way to looking at it. I think that excuse is horrible to use. And if that's the case, if that's how Microsoft truly looks at it, then Game Pass will never take off to the lengths they want to go because nobody's going to subscribe to a service for mediocre content.
Yep.
They're going to subscribe to the service because they want to play great games. So, I mean, this like the fact that we're having this conversation still tells me that Microsoft hasn't changed that narrative yet. That there's the whole thing that beat back of people's heads that, oh well, it's okay that Halo may not be good because I didn't pay any money for it. Like, well, yeah, you did. You paid $10 for it, or $1, or 15 or whatever. You did pay for it. You're only fooling yourself. But then you're not going to go out and stand for Game Pass to somebody else.
Well,
that's the funniest part, though. Here's the funniest part. If you look at all the best games in the last 2 or 3 years in particular, or in the last 5 years, let's say everything like Hellblade to God of War to Doom Eternal to It Takes Two to Psychonauts. What's one thing they all have in common? They're not games as a service games, right? They're some of the highest rated best games we've ever played, but they're not games as a service. Now, if you look at everything that is selling service or these subscriptions are not great games. They're just popular games. If anybody's going to tell me that Fortnite is fucking great, you're full of shit. It's so generic. It's not even funny, but it's a popular game because every little pubescent kid loves it and it's a streamer's favorite. Like when I go on Twitch, I actually get fucking angry because all I see every time I turn on Twitch is people playing the same rotund shit over and over, like no originality because they do it to get their fucking clicks. And I'm like, oh my God, period. You're going to keep playing Minecraft and Fortnite and Call of Duty. And it's all these free to play asshat games that just continue to dominate. And it drives me nuts because you know what? The industry in 20 years, that's all it's going to be. Free ass, fucking free to play piece of shit, garbage ass games is what we're going to get. Sorry, I went on a totally different rant, but that's how I feel.
We also got to be realistic too, because let's look at the other streaming services. Let's look at Netflix. Is every freaking show on Netflix amazing?
No.
Hell no. So let's why does every game on Game Pass have to be a AAA banger? You know what I mean? Like, it's people's unrealistic expectations more than, I think, changing the narrative, Randall.
I disagree with you on that because nobody makes that excuse for PlayStation or Nintendo.
How many fucking subs are on PlayStation? They've lost 1 million subs over the past X amount of months.
Yeah, but you see, nobody's making that excuse for God of War. Like the difference is it's a shock when a PlayStation game is bad, and it almost kind of seems like it's normal for an Xbox game to be mediocre.
What Rand's talking about here is consistency.
It's perception. Perception is reality.
It's perception so far. But in order to be able to break out of that, they require the consistency of good products. And that's where we was talking about, like when you're talking about Sony, for example, okay, Sony has, I don't give a shit what anybody says, okay, has consistently put out amazing Game of the Year contenders. Consistently. And therefore, that's how you get that kind of narrative. right? You get that kind of narrative by not doing it once every 4 years. You do it by doing it almost every single release. And I know it seems like almost unrealistic for that kind of an expectation, but that's what you got to do. It is possible because when you see across the pond that the other guys are doing it, then you can do it too. And they've got the money, they've got the backing, and they've got the freedom of artistic expression to do so. So they have the ability. And from what I've seen so far, by the way, I'd like to say from the summer up until now, to me, Microsoft has actually been, or Xbox Game Studios has been very consistent. Okay, from what I've seen going into Game Pass, from these excellent indie games going in there, Psychonauts 2 going in there, Forza Horizon 5 about to go in there, okay, which is looking nothing short of magnificent. You've got Halo going in there, which
Age of Empires 4.
Right, Age of Empires 4.
Flight
Sim, 10 out of 10s across the board. They are starting to show consistency, but 6 months does not erase 8 years.
Hey, the highest rated PlayStation game this year is an Xbox game.
That's right. So
let's look at it this way too.
Keep going. They need to keep going in order to solidify their position as something of quality.
That's true, and they've got a lot, and they've got so like with everything we know that's coming out on Xbox. Xbox is just revving up the engine right now, really. But the thing is, Xbox is under a microscope, and PlayStation is not.
That is also true, yes.
For a couple reasons, not due to the games released. Because PlayStation has released some trash games recently as well. I mean, look at Predator Hunting Grounds. Complete trash, complete dog shit. From everybody that's played the fucking game.
That wasn't a PlayStation Studios game, though. They bought that. But yeah, I get it. Sorry.
Well, the difference is where we are and who is outspoken. The Xbox community, I think we can all agree, is much more mature than the PlayStation community. So, of course, Xbox is going to be under additional scrutiny because those guys they're nitpicking fucking Forza for fuck's sake. Right? Like how? Why? What? You're a fucking loser. Just stop.
The reason why they do that kind of shit is because they're threatened. Because they're used to a certain narrative, like Xbox down here in the dirt.
Well, reason or
up here.
Hold on. Well, reason or not, it's still that doesn't make it right.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that is what's going on. Is a lot of people, for whatever fucking reason, are so threatened that another company's doing well. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like specifically Xbox.
No, it's not right. Fucking Robert Pattinson playing Batman. Goddamn, that shit's scary.
Robert Pattinson's fine as Batman. It's just his teeth are awful. That's it. His teeth need to be fixed. But other than that, he's fine. Guy's worth $100 million. He's got teeth like a homeless hobo. Unbelievable. Unfucking believable. How did we get under Robert Pattinson all of a sudden? Thanks a lot, Safe House Sam.
Change directions real quick.
Go back into your fucking outhouse, man.
Yeah. Cyberdoc, stop asking me serious questions.
Back of that
Mag. Before you went talking about Robert Pattinson, Titan basically was using the excuse for Xbox for Game Pass because he said Xbox has so many games, it's okay if some of them aren't good.
It's unrealistic expectations. Every game for any console does not have to be amazing. There are going to be, that's just common sense. There's going to be great games and there's going to be games that miss the mark.
Fair enough. Philly Eagle, don't split hairs, okay? Christ almighty. Because he said homeless hobo. Homeless hobo. Is he homeless twice? And I'm like, listen, man, I'm talking off the cuff. I want to see you come up here and do this. Especially with a superstar like Randall Thor right next to me. It's very intimidating.
I kind of feel like the idea of just like sitting there and accepting, hey, you know what? Yeah, half the games Microsoft put out in a given year, they're not going to be good simply because there's so many of them.
You don't have to put the Xbox name in front of that. You can put any company's name in front of that.
Sure, but you said Xbox because of Game Pass. No other
because that's what the topic was about.
Every time Microsoft has a stinker in their hand, they should renew the old name. Remember Acclaim? They should renew that fucking moniker and that license and slap Acclaim on every time they think the game's going to stink. It's published by Acclaim.
I'm just saying, like, I think we need to get like the accepting of mediocrity simply because it's free is something that we need to get away from.
Well, what are we
And
talking
using-
about specifically? Let's be specific. What mediocrity are we talking about here?
Well, I mean, you're the one that mentioned mediocrity and how they're going to put out games that just aren't good simply because
Everyone
you know,
is, yes.
luck, the whatever who got the shortest straw. And
Well,
we
but let's be specific about it, right? Let's get into details. Let's get into the nitty gritty of it all.
okay.
Let's talk about let's come up with a mediocre game. Which game do you think is mediocre, or maybe not even that you think, maybe that someone else thinks is mediocre?
I mean, but my personal opinions are a subjective thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
And
right.
maybe
Everyone
take a look at more of a collaborative effort and look at like many reviews. You know, they're called aggregator sites.
I've got issues with that too, because
Sure.
then you.
But then again, you've taken a whole bunch of subjective reviews and you compiled it into a number to kind of give it a value. Right?
Yes.
Somebody could. I could be somebody who's like, you know what? I don't like Forza. Forza Horizon's mediocre.
Mhm.
You know, like, and you wouldn't be able to be like, well, Rand, it's your subjective opinion, so you're right on that, right?
Mhm.
Because it's just my opinion.
Did you
But
tell
when you
them
look at like,
how?
You're looking at it as in a perfect
Rand-
world, though.
Rand, did you tell that person what about Drive Club, buddy?
I didn't play Drive Club, so I don't have an opinion. But when you look at
Rand,
the
you're
overall
looking at it
critical
as a perfect.
consensus,
Hold on.
then
You're looking at it as a
tells different
perfect.
story.
Rand. Rand. You're looking at it as a perfect story. What I mean by that is like you're thinking like everything is sunshine and rainbows, like there's no bias. You know, like
So we're talking about biases again?
I mean that's always around.
Oh.
No matter what you're talking about,
Sure,
there's always
sure. On this podcast.
But individuals have biases, but when you collect a group of reviews, 200 group of reviews, you can filter out the biases because of the law of averages.
There is, but however, and I'm sure the wise old gamer would know because he is an educator as well. What these aggregate sites don't do is weed out the extremists, right? They don't weed out they don't get a median of the data. They just go for the mode. They just go for the average of the data. They include the outliers of data. They include the outliers, which are the zeros and the tens, right? Yeah. Of the reviews that are just, absurd. Those need to be complete.
Yeah, but how would you filter that out? How would
well,
you
even
know
a
who
median, getting a median doesn't filter that completely out, but it does help. It gets you closer to the truth, right? Fair, and how do you filter that out? You got to give everyone a fucking license to fucking review games, and your whatever aggregate site you're talking about, Metacritic, whatever. Yeah. They got to take things into their own. They got to take matters into their own hands to make their data more reliable and more truthful, and give it a better, shine light on what should actually be shown on the game, the negatives and the positives. And I'm not talking about the bullshit. I'm talking about the actual positives and negatives of a game that most people can see, and not the trolls.
So I'm just gonna say, everybody here, Noof, me, Titan, Mag, we all want Xbox to succeed, right?
Of course.
Yes. We want Xbox to do better. We all want, well, maybe not Noof, Game Pass to become extremely, because I think when Game Pass reaches a certain number, they'll get rid of pay for multiplayer. So I want Xbox to make consistently great content, because that's how I think they can change the perception around Xbox, to get people to buy the consoles, to get people to subscribe to Game Pass. I think that's the way to do it. I think that's really the only way to do it. So I think making up excuses for it's okay because I didn't pay for it is hurting Xbox in the long run, and would hurt something like Halo, where you play the game and you're sitting there and you're just bored or whatever, and it's not really good. And then when you talk about it on this podcast, you're like, Whatever. I
Well,
didn't pay for it. You know,
it's-
I don't
you
think
know.
I don't think that's the feedback Xbox wants or needs.
No, and
And I don't
it's
think
kind
how
of
the
funny.
Xbox gets better.
It's
Personally.
kind of funny because when it comes to
I
Xbox, like
agree
one
with
thing
you
that Xbox has kind of been doing good at, guys, is Xbox has spent the last part of the last 5 years pretty much killing narratives, right? So first it was about the power narrative. They didn't have the power, they didn't have the console, whatever. So what did they do? They went out and squashed that. The Xbox One X, then the Series X. You know, they took the power narrative away. Then it was they had no games. Well, now the games are coming sort of fast and furious, and we saw like an amazing pile of games going to Game Pass just in the last couple of months, not to mention tons of first party just around the corner. So they're killing that. So now what's the narrative change to again? And from now we don't have the games, so now we just don't have great games. Now they're all mediocre, Game Pass fodders, it's like to be called. So it's kind of funny. So now, as Rand alluded to, they're going to have to squash that narrative by, again, putting out some games that finally shut the media up, shut the fan bases up, games that really stick to people. And like, yeah, this game is freaking unbelievable. And they're starting to do that. Games like Flight Simulator score high, Psychonauts 2 coming out doing well. So that is gradually changing. But I also think the difference between Psychonauts and Flight Sim is those games weren't overly highly marketable games to begin with. Flight Sim obviously having a big following on PC, but not so much in the console side of things. You know, it's the kind of game that, yes, you're glad it did well and it looks impressive, but it's not the game people are going out going, oh, I gotta get Game Pass for Flight Simulator. Right? No, it's not. You got to face the fact, right? There are people that love it and people that play it, but it's the Halos that are going to get people on board. It's going to be the Gears. It's going to be the staple Forzas. It's going to be stuff that the Initiative has, like Perfect Dark. Like so much riding on Perfect Dark to hit it out of the park. So let's hope to God that the Initiative gets this shit done right, and with the help of obviously Crystal Dynamics, gets this whatever they're working on. It's going to come out in the Indiana Jones game. Like that game needs to come out and go for the fences. That sort of thing. So I think that's where it's going.
The difference is foresight. Rand, back in 2017, when we first met, when Maggie hadn't even been conceived yet.
Where was Mag back in 2017?
I was listening to you clowns, realizing that I could do it. I realized that I could do it better, so then I showed up on the scene. Actually, I'm not even kidding. I used
doing
to
it better. That's what. It's funny. Like I'll when Mag is doing a podcast, sometimes I'll DM him and I'm like, "Man, you're looking bored, Mag. What's going on?"
He
30-minute outros will do that to a guy.
Rand's chirped me in a fucking DM while I'm sitting there like on another show and the camera's on and I'm just like kind of like casually glancing at the monitor. I look down, I see my phone, and there he is chirping away. He's like, "Are you okay? You need some sleep? You looked a little tired there." And I'm like, "Rand, fuck off. You're going to make me laugh on air." Anyways,
Mags looks so bored on certain podcasts. I'm pretty sure he's picked up his cat and tried shaving it. His cat doesn't even have hair.
Jesus Christ. All right, before we got on this tangent, Rand, back in 2017.
Well, hold on. Let Mag talk. He was in the middle of saying something. Come on, Mag. What were you saying?
Oh yeah. Whatever Titan says doesn't matter anyway. Yeah, I was just gonna say, well, back in 2017, I used to listen to you guys while I'd be like in the shower, getting ready for work, in the car, whatever. And then my wife was fucking sick of listening to me talk to the phone. Like I was literally talking to you guys, and of course you couldn't hear me. I'd be sitting there in the shower, and I had like my fucking speaker going, and then fucking Titan's shooting his mouth off of something. Rand's talking to Jez about this, that, the other thing, and I'm like, "You're wrong, Rand." I go, "I don't think that's the way it should be. I think it should be like that." And then my wife, one day, she just goes, "Why don't you just fucking do it and shut up? I'm sick of listening to you." And so she bought me a microphone. She bought me a microphone, a muter, the whole fucking 9 yards, a 4K camera, the whole nine, everything. And just said, "Fucking do it here." And then
that's awesome. That's awesome.
So when
I'm glad she did that.
When are you
now you get to look
YouTube
at this
channel?
ugly mug. Sorry, Rand.
So when we get in the Mag YouTube channel where you post your own videos and stuff like that. When we can have 100,000 subscribers for middle-aged game guy, little skits, little things that you do,
I know. It's just for YouTube, it's a lot of work, man. And I don't have that much time yet. I still have little kids and shit like that. So I just don't have the time, man. I do, but I don't.
Thing is, once you get in the groove of it, once you get in the groove of it, all that, you could really cut down on the time.
Well, where the hell are your videos, Titan? Where's your songs?
Hey, I'm busy teaching over here, man.
Busy teaching.
Let me real quickly get to the let's change the topics and get going.
Can't be a night owl anymore.
Portal Player, he drops into the chat, drops $2 and says Xbox services only up 2%. No Game Pass numbers again. Interesting. I know I saw some of this about earlier. That's a topic for another night. Unfortunately, I won't be diving into tonight. We're not going to have enough time, I don't think, but appreciate the super chat and the support, Mr. Portal Player. Let's scroll on down. Did I miss any more super chats? I don't think I did, but let's kibosh this now. I think we've had enough talking about Halo and this, that. Look, December 8th, guys, you're either going to love the game or you're not, whichever. But we're going to find out soon enough. And at the end of the day, it's just a matter of it's a good game. At the end, graphics are not the be-all, end-all. If it was, fucking Nintendo would never get anywhere. So there you go. But let's bring in Arnold to quickly do Ask Arnold segment or Ask Cletus or the Safe House Sam. You can toss a question that either one, guys. We'll let the panel have their first crack at Safe House, including our guest, if he has a witty question for any of those three personalities. Let's do this real quick and get in and out of here into another topic. Same with the chat, guys. Now is the time to drop them in the chat. Let's go.
Kylo, I want to see you have about 5 drinks in you and then play some Guitar Hero, buddy.
Easily. Anyways, I have a question for Arnold.
Yes.
Arnold, what's longer and saggier, the hour-and-a-half Halo conversation or your tits?
What I was going to say was probably longer and saggy would be the outros on a lot of the podcasts these days. They take like an hour. You get there, it's like, did the podcast end or did it start? Because I don't remember what the hell they're talking about anymore. Here's my website. Here's my name. Here's my name again. Here's my cat's name. My wife. This is what she's doing tomorrow. We're going to eat this for lunch and the dinner. And you want to follow this guy and follow that guy and do this and do that and do something else. What the fuck? Get in and get out. It's just like having sex. You don't have to drag it out. Come and get it over with.
I got to read this one before I pass it off the mic. Toolman55 says, "Hey Arnold, do you think Mag thinks of you in the shower?"
Oh God, this is terrible. I don't even know what's worse. They're thinking about Mag in the shower, Titan Drago. Will probably be Titan Drago. Because I can only imagine Titan Drago sitting there in his bathtub with his little ugly toes pointed to the ceiling. And he's got this little rubber ducky and he's playing with his pissy yellow batwad and he's trying to think about how he's going to make another money. Actually, probably sitting in his bathtub, probably fondling his balls and thinking about Smite at the same time.
So what would you rather? Oh man, how do I want to word this? Matt, all right. So, would you rather like drink some of my bath water or cradle the balls of Tony Baloney?
I think I'd rather pick the peanuts out of Tony Baloney's shit than get in and drink your bath water. Honestly, Titan, you gross.
Oh, man,
short and sweet to the point.
A lot of questions for Arnold tonight. Hey, Arnold, this is from Cybernox. Hey, Arnold, I heard you once punched a camel on set. If there was a video game character you could knock out, who would it be?
Oh, there's so many obnoxious, terrible video game characters I would like to smack. But honest to God, if I was Kratos, I would have smacked the shit out of his own kid. Fucking little annoying twerp gunning around shooting his ass off the whole time, little freaky ass kid. I would have took that giant launch that Kratos had in the first part of the game and I just knocked him right into the water. So see you later, Atreus, you little shit. I'll do this on my own. I don't need you. They don't need your wife either. Now let's go. Let's go after Loki. Let's do it. I want to go back. If I was God of War, I'd be pissed off because he was in the last game in God of War 3. I mean, at least he was in Greece and he was banging all these hot chicks. He never banged shit in the latest game. All he did was went out there and kill these ugly things that are coming up out of the ground. Where's the tits? I want to see more tits in the next God of War.
He was sad, Dad.
We got nothing for Cletus or what's his name?
Wise Old Gamer hit one, but I'm not reading that.
Axel's got one for Safe House Sam.
Oh my God.
All right, let's see.
Why is there an entire panel full of Pegasus Nation Halo haters?
Honest to God, man, I don't know. Like, I always thought there was something wrong with the Sony ponies. But the fact that they even got a little group, they go around with the little unicorn heads and shit, acting all big and bossy and shit, and thinking this shit don't stink. But I got news for you. You shit fucking stinks. Get back in your hole where you came from. God damn, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you guys. You fell a few short marbles, close of a six-pack. I'm sorry your Gran Turismo sucks and you've been bitter for the last 5 or 6 years while Forza's kicking everybody's ass. And Halo is still going to come out and pick somebody's ass. You know what? Halo is like the ugly kid in school. Still beat your fucking ass if you pick on him too much. You know what I'm saying? Because where's your first person shooters at? Killzone, Halo Killer. That shit fell off the planet 20 years ago, man. Like, you guys, you don't even know how to put co-op in a game. For fuck's sakes, I don't think anybody at Sony even knows how to have sex because you don't know what fucking co-op is. You're playing with yourself.
I just gotta lay a lot of more respect for Safe House Sam.
Let's get back on that Xbox and let's play some fucking games.
You gotta want to cough, man, so bad.
It sounds like he's losing his voice now.
All right, let's move right along. I think we ended that on a good note. So, Pro Randall's over like, what the fuck is going on with this podcast?
Welcome to the second half of the show.
Yeah.
We're like, well, Halo this and Game Pass this. Second half of the show is like, fucking shit, fucking fuck it.
It's between this and the
oh boy.
Oh man, unbelievable. All right, let's get into our next topic of the evening, guys. Let's just quickly, I just want to talk about the new solid state drives. I mean, obviously we've been waiting for them to come out, and while I think it's great, you know, hey, it's simple, you plug it in, you get extra space. They got 3 of them coming out. The price, price is a little bit steep on these guys. Who wants to jump in on this one first? Are you going to pick one up? Which size would you get? And do you think the prices are going to come down? Are they going to stay high? I mean, with the space of these games these days, it's not a lot of space to begin with, period. Even like 2 terabytes is a drop in the bucket. That's like what? 8 games, depending on which games. Probably 2 games if you got Call of Duty in there.
Yeah, I was going to say Call of Duty's 2 games, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think about that? I mean, obviously, personally, I'm just going to say, and this is my last thought. I'm letting you guys talk. I'm not game for it. I'm going to avoid buying one until the prices come way down or get one on sale because I think the most expensive one is like what, it was $400 US?
Yeah, $400 US. So
that's almost as much as the Series X up here in Canada.
It's almost $600 up here.
What the heck? I'll buy another Series X and put games on that one.
Yeah, no shit. You might as well have 2 consoles. Let me jump in this, and then I have to kind of disappear for a minute. Let me tell you something. I don't have any need for it. Like, I mean, I heard Rand talking about it on the Xbox 2 on the weekend. Shout out to the Xbox 2 and Jez Corden, of course.
Hey, he doesn't have you blocked anymore.
Oh wow, that's right. Yes, he doesn't have you blocked. He actually quoted one of my tweets, as a matter of fact. Anyhow, I have no need for this, and I completed 40 games this year. Okay, and I never ran out of space because when I'm done the game and I'm never going to go back to it, guess what? I get rid of it. And by get rid of it, I mean I just take it off the hard drive. Like, what's the big fucking deal? Like, it's there on your owned games or your, previously came. You know what I mean? They have that library, whatever the hell it's called, and it's got all the games that you've ever downloaded. It's all there. It's right there. Or like Rand said, actually, a few days ago on his show, he's like, get an external hard drive, just put them on there. And then if you want to play them, just transfer them over to the hard drive. Like, what's the big deal? Like, here's the thing. My question is this. I understand, like, a lot of people, play multiplayer games with different sets of friends and everything else. They have a certain, like a PUBG group of friends. They've got a Call of Duty group of friends. They got a Battlefield. How many fucking games are you playing at the same time? Like, I mean, are you playing 20 games? The average game is about 50 to 75 gigs. Okay?
I think I'd surprise you there, Mag.
Okay, Titan, you're not playing 20 different games at once. Come on, man.
All Titan plays is Smite, right?
No shit. Every time I see him online, I see him playing one fucking game. And I'll get into that later about his other stuff. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. But the thing is that I just don't get it. Like, are you staring at the tiles? Do you have some kind of a weird fetish? Do you need to look at it? If it's all digital and it's all sitting there and you're not touching it, why is it there? Like, or here's another example, actually. I got my Oculus Quest 2, right? And I got the 64 gig one. Guess what? I've had it for a year now. I haven't run out of space yet. and I've got tons of games on there. And it's not like I'm playing all those games at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I just don't get it. And to pay $600 for an expansion. I mean, I know that's the more expensive one, whatever, but to pay the same price that I could buy, just like Noof said, for an actual console, I could buy a fucking Series X for that. I've already got 2 Series X in the house right now. I could buy a third one, and it would be the same price as getting the fucking, you know what I'm saying? It'd be the same as getting
all
that
those
expansion.
consoles, Mag, to store all my games.
Yeah, it's so stupid. I could literally I'd build like the Berlin Wall of like Series X's. You know what I'm saying? It would be cheaper. But like it's to me, I don't know. To me, it's lunacy. But I mean, like I said, I just don't get it. Like, it's fine if you do. Hey, man, like don't you know? I'm not shitting on you because you're playing 20 games at once. I just can't personally see it. And like I said, I completed 40 fucking games this year. Okay, that's more, sometimes double or triple what most people do in 1 year. And that's what I did this year, and I still didn't run out of space. So I don't know. To me, I just let it go when it's done. Like, if I got my 1,000 out of 1,000, I'm not going back to it. What the fuck am I going to do? Stare at it? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to go back into the world and just wander around and stare at bushes and like cars driving by and like Far Cry? No, I'm done. And I move on to the next game. And I think people will see that more and more and more, especially with Game Pass. You know, like, if you know, once you get these games in there, you download them, you play them, you move them out, you go into the next game, because there's going to be so many options. There's no way you'll be able to keep up with it, and there's no way you're going to be able to get to all of them. So it's just going to be like an in and out sort of situation. I don't know. That's the way I do it. I am not going to buy it. I'm not spending a penny on memory. That's just me.
I think I wish I had Maggie's situation. Unfortunately, I'm very different. Mag, I think you would be shocked if you looked at my at what was on my my hard drive, because I jumped
all the button layouts of all the different games.
How
much it pisses me off? You go to another game and all of a sudden you press B and the fucking guy jumps out a window. You're like, no, because in B, the other one, it was duck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is my biggest problem. It's B being the crouch button or B being the melee button. That is a pain in my ass. But
anyway, go on.
But yeah, I jump from game to game, and like you said, Smite, it takes up a good percentage of my gaming, less and less recently, but it's still a good chunk. And the thing is, more and more games are coming out that are 100 gigs or more, right? We're talking like 130 something gigs for Call of Duty. We're talking over 100 gigs for Flight Sim, which I had to erase off my hard drive. We're talking over 100 gigs for Forza, I think, right? All these, so many games are 100 gigs, and that's 10% of your hard drive, a little over that. So these things, they're super expensive, and it's getting to the point where you need at least another terabyte. At least me, right? At least I do. Like I said, I wish I completed 40 games like you did. I've not done that, and a lot of the games I just throw them. I get real close to the end, and I just throw them in my backlog, and I never finish them. But
nonsense.
The thing is, do you guys remember what an 8 megabytes memory stick used to cost for PS2?
I don't remember. I remember having them. I still have one. It's lying around in one of these drawers.
I think they were around like $30, somewhere around there.
Like somewhere around there, yeah.
8 megabytes. Imagine if they kept that same energy. Imagine if they kept that same cost to memory amount. and these are like, 10 times better, being, SSDs rather than just the memory. I don't even know if the memory, I don't even know what those were, how fast they were, or whatever, but it's kind of crazy to think that 8 megabytes was $30 X amount of years ago, and now we're talking about a terabyte and 2 terabytes and 512 gigs.
Can I throw a monkey wrench into this very quickly? I didn't want to cut you off there, Titan, but Timothy Dixon said something in the chat that I didn't think about, which just kind of blew my mind. You think about it. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Okay, here's the thing. With streaming coming with the, or streaming that you've got going on with Game Pass and stuff like that, you can just play directly right off the app, right?
Right.
If you got it on your phone or your whatever, who needs to download shit anymore? Now, let's say, seeing that it's not the majority, Jesus Christ, everything that Microsoft is going to be releasing is going to Game Pass. Therefore, you'll be able to stream it directly off of any device. right? They also talked about that you'll be able to stream right off the console. While if you, let's say if you got a game or whatever, you're downloading it to your hard drive, you could just stream it. Why don't you just stream it all together?
Well, that's
So,
great
like,
for the single player games.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. But how many fucking multiplayer games you possibly play? More than
Are you
20?
fucking kidding me, Mag?
Well, yeah, okay, you Titan, but a lot of us like engaging stories, like Days Gone, that makes me cry when I think about it.
God, quit.
Make you cry.
It made me cry, man. It made me cry. It was so sad. Like,
He ain't lying.
I'm not lying. I fucking cried when I played that game. Come on, man. It's called Days Gone. It's all the days that he was away from his wife, man. It fucking made me bawl my eyes out. Anyways,
If I gotta hear this fucking tear jerk story one more fucking time.
Yeah, you can tear jerk me off later, Titan. How about that?
Criminy. Next!
Does that mean me, Titan?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes.
Man.
You better you better recognize who you speaking to, Titan.
Man with a million excuses.
Yeah, there we go. That's a good one. So I already own the 1 terabyte storage expansion card. I bought it at launch. So, and my expansion, my storage is sort of filling up. I can delete a bunch of games, but I really don't. So I'm gonna get we're getting to the point now where like Call of Duty and Battlefield are coming out. It's like, oh man, we're getting close on the storage. However, like for me, what I would want is the ability to use 2 cards at the same time, right? Because imagine a scenario: I buy the 2 terabyte card, $400, but that means I gotta lose the 1 terabyte card, right? So that doesn't make me want to purchase the 2 terabyte card. Like,
wait, lose them? What?
Because you can only plug 1 storage expansion in at a time.
Yeah, you just unplug it and plug the other one in.
Yeah, but why would I constantly want to be going back behind we're in my entertainment center to plug and unplug expansion slots in when I've had 2 external hard drives plugged into my Xbox since forever? The point was like, oh, I'll plug in this 1 terabyte expansion. Oh, I'll plug in this 4 terabyte expansion. Oh, I'll plug in this 2 terabyte one, and I have all the storage available. But with the Xbox, there's not 2 storage expansion slots. So if I buy the 2 terabyte one, then I lose the 1 terabyte one because I can't use them both at the same time. Do you get what I'm saying?
You're throwing the word lose around loosely.
I mean, I can't use them both at the same time, Titan. Is that not true?
I see what you're saying, but lose,
lose.
You still got the shit on there. You can set it right next to your system and use it whenever you need it.
Yeah, but
you're being lazy.
No, I'm not being lazy.
You're being lazy.
No, I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm not. I want the ability to use both at the same time. And at that point, maybe I would considering buying it. But because of how expensive it is, which is a ridiculous price, but that's expected price, we kind of knew they were going to be this expensive, considering how expensive the 1 terabyte was.
Right.
This is just kind of the new normal. Like SSD prices, you get the really, really fast loading and all that stuff, but it comes with the cost. The cost is just expensive. So, yeah, I'm not buying it. It's too expensive. I don't think the 512 gigabytes is a good option either, personally.
Yeah.
So, and even that, it's like $140 for 512. Like, you can get 2 terabytes of a regular hard drive for 140, maybe even more, and just shuttle content back and forth.
Well,
you know what I mean?
That's one thing too. I hope that, and it probably is not going to change, but I hope that console manufacturers would do this change. Like, they like to tout when they launch a console that they have 1 terabyte or 2 terabytes installed. But then when you get it home, after you've installed your operating system and your updates, you're ended up with, like, on a Series X, 1 terabyte, and I think you're left with 800 and something gigs. So I wish they'd actually like when they announce is 1 terabyte, it's actually 1 terabyte of storage, and the operating system is its own. It takes up its own memory, and they don't charge you an arm and a leg for it. That should be just that's part of the system, right? So essentially, the storage you shouldn't be getting dinged because that's the operating system takes up 15 or 20% of it. And that's just my opinion. I like to see it change, but I don't think it will.
Yeah. So I guess nobody's buying the 2 terabyte one, huh? Not even Mag? because he doesn't need it. I guess.
Well,
I guess
we all
it's really
need it.
just-
Needing it, yes, but
Yeah,
like,
I guess
I'm
it's
not
just
paying
that
600 plus
price.
bucks Canadian. Like, that's just, well, like I said, I'll just buy another freaking Series X before I spend that much money just on a memory card.
All right, so the 2 terabyte is out for I think all of us. So what about the 1 and the 512?
Well, I already own the 1.
I'd go for the 1 terabyte, somewhere in between.
And that one has been on sale before. I've seen it
And
as low as like 180, I think.
The 512 one is the most like non-lucrative priced one because it's not half the price of a 1 terabyte. It's over that, so it's not very lucrative to get the 512, especially the 512. That's only going to hold, if you're averaging 100 gigabytes of games, only going to hold 5 games. So is it worth paying that much money to hold 5 games on? I don't know. Maybe it is for you. Maybe it's
to
not.
get the prices to come down, we need another manufacturer to come in to start
Yes.
offering competing products. Because since Seagate holds the exclusive contract, like they're going to keep the prices relatively stable. So unless I would love to know when someone else can make something. So until we see that, we won't really see a lot of price fluctuation. But accessories, Microsoft, and they make a lot of money on this stuff. Controllers, cards,
let's look at
part of it, right?
Let's look at the other side of the fence. You got PlayStation, and they have they have all kinds of memory cards you can plug into that thing. So, their prices are just as ridiculous.
They're welcome to because the cards compete with each other, right? So the cards go on sale, so you can get them for a little bit cheaper. Granted, you have to undo the PlayStation, take it apart, and use a screw, right? So it's a little bit more involved than Xboxes, but there is the chance that, and like the SSD that Sony's you can buy is also a faster SSD. So there is that. It's just that Xbox went for convenience and form factor, which is great. Like plug it right in the back of it, it works. It's just that now we're stuck with one manufacturer and the prices are basically stagnant. Are going to be stagnant for a while. So
that's right.
When us super hardcore are debating buying a memory upgrade for $400, I can imagine what the wider market's like. They're probably like, what? $400 for 2 terabytes? Hell fucking no. Yeah. Unless you're super rich or just got money to blow, you know what I mean?
Shout out to Always Cola in the chat, who is making the first time checking this podcast out. Well, welcome. We hope that you enjoyed what you've heard so far tonight, and appreciate you being here. And it makes a great point as well. Like for the average consumer, perhaps, who doesn't have the data caps, but he's got a great point. I delete and download. I just keep an eye on the ISP cap. And that's another thing that still faces a lot of people is the data caps and different things that they have too. So that might be a blessing in disguise, I suppose, and to keep you from going out and buying too much of these kind of things. But still, different strokes for different folks. Just putting that out there. Cerebral Paul says, do you really want to talk storage in the late 80s? It was $100 a meg, and he's not wrong. Storage was always expensive. I guess it depends on the generations, and it has come down depending on what you're looking for. I mean, right now to buy a standard hard drive, 2, 3, 4, 5 terabytes is really cheap compared to what it was 10 years ago, And like Rand said, this is a proprietary hard drive made by Seagate or the solid state drive. So it's going to remain high for the at least foreseeable future until perhaps Microsoft maybe license it out to a third party. We don't know how that's going to go. So might never happen.
Arrow, they need the heat sink on the PlayStation 5. Yeah. So I'll be curious to see any stories about that. If they actually, if it causes heating issues in the PS5. That will be an interesting story that will unfold eventually.
Yeah,
I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you think they'll have any heating issues or no?
I mean, Xbox or PlayStation?
PlayStation. Like, say if you put put a SSD in without a heat sink on it,
I mean, if there was, I'm sure we'd have seen it already by now, since people are using it. Maybe some inexperienced person puts one in and that system fries or something, but I don't think you'd see it on a widespread scale. We already would know about it.
That makes sense.
All right. Well, lastly, before we bring in Tony Baloney, real quick, Guardians of the Galaxy, the game has come out. It's actually launched into some pretty good reviews. A nice surprise and almost a welcome surprise. I think a lot of us, our guards were let down and we weren't expecting a whole lot considering that the Avengers left a sour taste in many people's mouth. Guardians of the Galaxy does pretty much everything that game didn't do, and that's just kept it simple, kept it more linear. Doesn't have microtransactions up to yin yang or collectible this, collectible that sort of stuff. And again, it seems to be enjoyable. People are liking it. Graphics look good. And like I said, it's scoring pretty well. So who here on the panel has had a chance to play the new Guardians of the Galaxy game? And is it sort of like a thank God kind of moment that the game is doing okay, like from a score and hopefully from a sales perspective. So that way, because that Avengers one, I think, had a lot of people, perhaps a lot of studios even hesitant to tackle, licensed products sometimes now. And just knowing that, because like I said before, with a title like the Avengers, you almost think that's a no fail kind of a game deal. Like, oh, you got the Avengers, pretty much the biggest, comic book license on the planet, essentially. And it came out and obviously didn't do particularly well. Not necessarily a terrible game per se, but that's another. But how do you feel with Guardians again? Does it sort of restore faith that, again, good companies with no ulterior motives to make the game as a service can actually do this stuff well? Who's had a chance to play it? What do you think?
Now you can skip me on this one.
I haven't played it either, so I have no input. I'd like to play it.
I have it, but I haven't been able to play it yet.
Okay. What was that, Meg?
I know Boom has it. I don't have it yet, but let's face it. I mean, Black Friday is like 3 weeks away. I could probably get a better, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'd probably get like $10 off, $20 off, whatever. And it is a single player game, right? So, unfortunately, the truth is that single player games don't have longevity when it comes to their prices, right? So, except for Sony, because their launch titles are still $105 for Christ's sake. But, it's kind of ridiculous. But, they got to do what they got to do. That's their business. But, for the rest of them, though, they go on sale pretty quick. And Boom is he's screaming up and down that this game's amazing. I watched the Skill Up. He did like a 30-minute review of it. I watched this morning. And I was blown away. I was like, I didn't expect this. I mean, Eidos Montreal does great stuff. I mean, they made the last Tomb Raider, right? The third one in the trilogy.
That's correct. Yep, Shadow.
And Shadow. That was a great game. It was a gorgeous game. I thought it was a lot of fun. Their DLC was incredible. I bought the deluxe package, which I never do, but for Tomb Raider I do. And it was amazing, man. And they did some incredible work. So obviously it's spilled into this game because this game, like I said, I did not. I mean, I'll be completely honest. I gave it no chance to be good. I was just like, fuck this game. And then when I saw it, I was just like, holy shit. Now it's on the radar. And now I'm starting to eyeball these other games that are coming out. So I'm like, do I hold off on Battlefield and get this instead? Because Battlefield doesn't seem to be impressing me all that much. Vanguard, forget about it. So the only toss up for this, for the rest of this year in order for, in terms of a purchase was Battlefield. But now that I see this, I'm going to wait till a couple of other, people in the community play it and whatever else, see what they think about it. But like I said, the only person I know who's playing it right now is Boom, and he says it's incredible. So I don't know, man. It's look like I'm going to have to make that dive and maybe put Battlefield on the back burner.
Evil Genius 2, Mag. Evil Genius 2.
Oh, Christ.
Although someone in the chat earlier was saying that they've heard a lot of reports about Evil Genius 2 coming to Game Pass, which I've not heard about. That was the first time I heard of it. So
I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that.
They did. They announced it a long time ago. They announced it at the last I Did Xbox Twitch show.
They did?
I'm 90% sure that Evil Genius 2 is launching into Game Pass day one when it hits Xbox.
Well, it's in the store right now, and usually when that happens, they'll put the Game Pass logo right on the game, and it's not on there. So I don't know if it's doing day and date, because they always do that. They always do put that logo right on there, the Game Pass logo, and available for free download.
Huh?
And it's coming out soon.
It says 90%, then it's like 110% sure.
Tony Grasso, yes, he said. Yep, he was the one that said that.
So let me ask you guys this with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Do you think that this is exactly how this game was intended to be? Or do you think that potentially before this launch, there was basically the Square Enix took a look at what happened with the Avengers and then decided perhaps to scrap certain things for this game and keep it that way?
I don't know. That's a tough
Do
call.
you think it was a
man, 'cause,
design
these
choice,
games-
or do you think it was or you think it's a reactionary choice? Because even IGN's headline, like if you read the review, is like this: Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy is yet another convincing example of how much fun a linear, no frills, single player campaign can be. And that's almost completely opposite of what the Avengers was, correct?
Yeah, but I mean, these games, they don't also turn on a dime either, right? I mean, they
Right.
go in development for years and years and years. I find it hard to believe that they would scrap something fairly last minute, like even within a year. And everybody working remotely, I don't see that. I don't see it. I think they really just kind of went for it, kind of like how EA at least had they had faith in Zampella there to do the Jedi Fallen Order,
correct?
Right, and you mean EA's mantra up until that point.
Yep.
Was it's all about those games of the service, microtransactions, all that bullshit, whatever, to make the extra income. So I don't know. Maybe they just took a chance and said, "Fuck it, let them just do it and see what happens."
Right.
Or
you're probably right, though.
Maybe they allowed them to do it so that they could look marketable for a sale to sell to somebody else. Because I almost got this gut feeling. I have nothing to back this up, but I have this gut feeling that Square is just kind of like tired of their Western division. And I just think that they want to keep the Japanese division because they're making a shit ton of money over there. Final Fantasy 14 and everything else that's going on over there, right? And I have a feeling they're just kind of fed up with what's going on in the Western division and just said, let's let them do something marketable and someone will look at it and say, hey, that looks attractive. And then maybe Microsoft scoops in and picks up Eidos. I don't know, just a thought.
There you go. Any final thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy before we get Tony Baloney in here and close the show?
I'm glad it's reviewing well and people seem to like it because the studio's great. They make great games, and
yes, they do.
I've always want a game to be, be really good than mediocre and forget about it. So, I can't wait to play it for myself.
I heard Tony put the cock in his mouth. Let's go, Tony.
Oh, you heard that, did you? Okay. Yeah. Tony's all smiles tonight. Let me tell you something. We got some celebrity in the house. We got scumbags in the house. We got people in the chat. Anyway, enough bullshit. Let's get down to business. Portal player or penis player, whatever the fuck your name is. I saw you earlier in the chat calling out the mag. I saw you in the chat calling out Titan Drago and Noof Nukem and tuck. Let me tell you something. Do yourself a favor. Put yourself in a portal and disappear. And while you're at it, grab Titan's ankle and drag him down with you. It'll make this podcast a lot better. And speaking of Titan Drago, let me tell you something. Titan Drago starts shooting off at the mouth. Blah, blah, blah. The same old dribble that's coming out of his mouth. Randall Thor just fucked off. He left. He left the show for like 15 minutes. We had to bribe him to get him back onto the show. So, Titan, do yourself a favor. Please, do not argue with the man. He's a good man. Leave him alone. Now, another thing I wanted to get out of my system here. Titan Drago, another thing. Thank God in heaven, with your game choices, that you aren't in charge of anything to do with Game Pass. Because I'll tell you right now, if you were in charge of anything or picking these games, Game Pass would have shut down in 3 fucking days. Okay? These stupid games you're playing. Orcs Must Fuck, Energy Drink VR, Caterpillar Simulator, whatever the fuck you're playing, these stupid games. Okay? How do you fill up a hard drive with so much trash? It's unbelievable. I don't know how the hell you do it. But anyways, enough of that bullshit. Let's get down to the man.
Yeah, we got questions. Kyle Amalo coming in hot and heavy here. Hey, Tony, would you rather do no shave November or no nut November?
No shave November? Ridiculous. But I'll do it anyway because you know what? I did live in the 70s and nobody shaved in the 70s. It was a lot hairier back then. No nut? That's absolute nonsense. That's not going to happen. In fact, I'm nutting as we speak. So yeah, it's like there's no way that you could stop this kind of ridiculous thing. Now, any other questions before I have a little something for Randall Thor here. You know, we got Randall Thor, the celebrity. Randall Tomato, Randall Fraudal Thor, Randall Chopped Liver, Randall Mayo, all these things. And let me tell you something, Rand. Okay, you may be the YouTube millionaire, but Tony Baloney is not afraid or intimidated by you because I know your weakness. Your weakness is right here.
Oh my
See
God.
You see that? That's your mayonnaise.
I
Oh,
am
you
male.
think I'm done? I'm not done because this is about to happen. There we go.
Uh-oh.
Nice big
Oh
scoop.
God.
Oh,
And here's a
he
twist.
did not Titan.
Here's a Triscuit cracker. Look at that. Full of mayonnaise. Look.
What? Wow.
Fucking delicious. Now, let me tell you something. The only person who was not grossed out was Titan because he's used to getting a big load of white stuff in his mouth every night.
I said, goddamn.
Eternal Shaddai. By the way, we're not the B squad. Okay, we're the A squad. You're the D squad. Dickhead squad. That's what you're from. Anybody got any questions?
Yeah, we got one coming in from your usual suspect, the doctor. He drops $5 in the super chat and says, Tony B, any Halloween costume you can recommend for me to wear? I want to I want to get my girl all fired up for some ass play, baby. He's still going on with that? Jesus.
The only costume you should wear, okay, just put on anything but you, okay? Because that's obviously not what she's interested in. She's interested in any other man but you. So just dress up as any other man. That's the best costume that you can come up with. As
Titan Drago. Dress up as me.
If you... I have nothing to say to that. I'm still sitting here swallowing mayonnaise, and you're saying stupid shit like that. I don't even know what to say to something like that. Dress up as Titan Drago. What? A hairy little hobbit sitting inside of a bathtub full of green water? Yeah, that's Titan Drago, all right. All right. Any other questions for Tony before I leave for the evening?
That would be an awesome costume, a fucking bathtub with green water when you walk around. That would be awesome.
Yeah, well, it's not a costume for you. That's every Saturday night. Anyhow.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Any other questions for Tony Maloney before I have
Oh,
to go
Lord.
get myself
Oh, yeah.
water?
I hope you swallow that mayonnaise because hey Tony, didn't you want my no lump cheese sauce for felching?
Who said that?
That'll teach him to eat mayonnaise on
Who
screen.
said that?
That came in versus who said that? Yes, who did I just read that out from? Hang on.
That'll teach him. Lost forever.
Tony,
Lost
when
forever.
are we going to see your debut in Twitter Spaces?
Oh,
You know what? I never thought of that. That's actually a really good idea. But anyways, speaking of Twitter Spaces, boy, do I have a video for you guys coming up very soon. Boy, oh boy, do I have a video coming up. But I had to cross it by a few people because I might have come across a little bit inflammatory. So I had to double check first and say, do you think I'm pushing it too far? But then you know what I thought to myself? I said, fuck them. I don't care if it's gone too far because that's my artistic expression. And if you don't like it, you can go to hell. And me and Dave Chappelle can go have a good old time and laugh about it. But I'll tell you something else.
nice.
Anyways, any other
Love
questions before I get a giant bottle of water to wash out this mayonnaise?
Any final comments from you, Ram, before
I was gonna say, yeah. What do you
yourself?
think about the? Give us your honest to God thoughts about Pegasus Nation.
I love Pegasus Nation. You know why? Because they give the mag so much material, I don't have to sit around and think about anything. They literally just hand it to me on a platter. It's like they handed me a script for a perfect movie that's going to win the Academy Award for Best Picture, and they do it on a daily basis. It's fantastic. And if you actually go to one of those Pegasus Nation Twitter spaces, guess whose ugly mug you'll see sitting right there? This one. I'm sitting right there watching everything that those clowns do, and I love every second of it. But you know what the funny thing is? I talked to Optimus Code. I couldn't even say his name properly. Optimus Code, he's actually not that bad of a guy. He just likes to troll a lot. But anyways, you know what? I think it's hilarious. I love it. I love how they gave each other ridiculous names. I love how they gave each other titles like Treasurer of the Pegasus Wings or whatever horseshit. I think it's fucking awesome. And I'll tell you something else. The reason why they've come up with this is because they got nothing to fucking play. That's why. They got lots of time on their hands and they're staring at that big old white vagina sitting on top of the cabinet right next to the TV and they got nothing to play on it. Okay? So that's why they're always doing this Pegasus Nation stuff. But anyways, Pegasus Nation, please, I absolutely adore everything that you guys do. Please keep it going because you're giving Meg endless material for all of his videos. Thank you very much.
I think it's their midlife crisis. Not sure if I've seen a worse one yet.
Midlife crisis? Optimus Code is 2 steps from a retirement home. What midlife crisis?
So he's a late bloomer.
A late bloomer? My God.
You bloomed lady, fucking man. This crisis late.
I hear that Astrobot game is the most popular game with the ladies on PlayStation 5. They like to play it when the lights are low and the sheets are high because they gets that vibrating controller going on.
That's right.
And it always plays with the hands down low, baby.
Oh my
I'm starting
God,
to
get
think
me
some of
out.
those Pegasus Nation guys are doing the same thing, putting that DualSense 5 between the legs, and they start doing a little platforming. Yeah, that's the only action they're ever going to see anyhow. But anyhow, that's a whole other story. But anyways, on that note, the Tony Baloney is going to leave for the evening. I just want to say good night to everybody. Thank you very much for all the support. Have a great night, and we'll see you all next week.
Yeah, I got a new name for you motherfuckers. You can call yourself the Penetration Nation next. Yeah.
All right, guys. Anyway, that's it for the show. This has been a dynamite episode. I knew it was going to be some great discussion, especially around Halo. As always, the chat, you guys have been absolutely dynamite. Thank you to everybody that's been here tonight, new people and old people alike. Thank you for the love and support. And thank you guys today for all the retweets as well. It was really nice to see that. I sort of had to call out a little bit today, and I didn't mean anything by it, but like I said, lots of people talk about support. You don't really see a whole lot of it outside of a very few people. So, but I appreciate the support. It's been a slow grind, man, especially for my channel. But hey, I guess, I'm the jerk if I don't put in the work. But anyway, Splendiferous ending the show with a super chat. He says, you see the pony that said Halo is load of mediocrity.
Saw a lot of them.
Massel, later virgins. All right, man. Tyrone Israel, everybody, Toolman, you guys, Tony Grosso, every Spider-Man 356, Timothy Dixon, Doggy Dog, Cerebral Paul's here, John 907. The list goes on. Watch this happen. Thank you guys for the support. Let's get out of here. Let's start with our incredible guest, who honestly, like I said, we thank him so much for taking time out of his night to be here with us. He's been a busy man, as you said earlier this week, doing lots of podcasts. We're glad he could take time out for us to be on this one. It is the one, the only, the man with a million, Randall Thor. What's up for you, brother? And let people know where they can check out your channel and the Xbox 2 with you and Jez Cord and all that good stuff.
Yeah, it was excellent to be on your show again, Noof, and always fun hanging out with Titan Drago. We spar.
Always fun making fun of me.
It honestly is. You're the best person to make fun of. And then the mag. Love the mag. It's amazing.
Thank you, Red.
But yeah, if you want to check out the content, youtube.com/RandallThor19. Posting videos here and there. I try to aim for 2 a week. Sometimes it's not enough, and I do 1, but we always do the podcast either Friday or Saturday every week with Jez Corden, depending on how Jez feels, if he can do it Friday or not. So yeah, check it out. Yeah. I'm sure we'll be talking about a bunch of things. I think Jez even said he found more code names for more Xbox games. So
nice.
Even more games coming. So
excellent.
There you go. And I've left the description and links for Rand in the chat comments below the channel. So go check it out. Let's get over to the mag. Let people know what's happening with you over the next little while, sir.
Yeah, well, I wasn't kidding. I do actually have a couple of videos coming up very soon that I've been working on. Like I said, one of them's a little touchy, so I had to be careful how I treaded on that one. But when you see it, you'll know. So it'll be pretty funny, but I got about 3 or 4 coming up. I got something else I'm working on with my brother at Pulse Music Media, and we're working on something that's going to be coming out in December. So, do the math, figure out what else is coming out in December, right? So it's going to be music-wise. Now, the good thing is my brother at Pulse Music Media and the video game music that he's been doing a lot lately that I've been a part of, he's now closing in on 400,000 subscribers. So it's getting pretty goddamn big over there, and the video game music thing is apparently a thing because it's pretty major. So that's a lot of it's on TikTok and shit like that. So anyways, besides all that, you can follow me on Twitter at the Middle Age Game Guy. That's with a GY at the end, of course. On the PlayStation 5 and on the Xbox Series X, you can follow me in all one word, all capitals, because I don't know how to be quiet. I am the mag, all in caps. And the other thing is Monday nights, you can find me with Mr. Boomstick XL and friends. 7 p.m. Eastern on I was going to say Gaming After Dark on Primetime Gaming. And then, of course, you find me here every Tuesday night, 10 p.m. So Eastern time. But, guys, it was a great show. Rand, you're always a good sport, man. It's always awesome to do a show with you. And Titan, Noof, you guys are family to me now. You guys are amazing. Chat, you guys are incredible. We had a great show tonight. Everybody have a great night.
And let's end out with the man who brings a comment back to sense. He's certainly one of the most loudest and opinionated guys in the podcast scene. Certainly a guy who's familiar with bathtubs and people making fun of him. It is Titan Drago.
Yeah, so Mag Noof, awesome show. Rand, great to have you here. Hey, have you guys ever noticed Rand has never won my Common Sense Award yet?
What Common Sense Award?
He still hasn't won it tonight, so keep coming, Rand. Maybe you'll win
like
it
a
one
fat
day.
person winning, like, no, I'm not gonna say it. Never mind.
Anyways, my Common Sense winner for the night is Cyber Gunter 81 for making even Maggie feel better about himself by saying, like, Marvel Avengers made me cry. So let's all be a little bit more like Cyber Gunter. Think of others, and no matter what ridiculousness makes them cry. So, way to be a really nice guy, Cyber Gunter, and let's keep bringing the common back to sense.
Absolutely. And you guys know to find me always in the gutter, but when I'm not here hanging out with this fine fellows here, you can catch me on Sunday. Yes, apparently with the B team over at Good Morning Xbox, Eternal Shaddai, Axel 1324, Cerebral Paul. We got Cool Cat Terry and the Scrub Nurse for the Good Morning Xbox, the more, well, let's just say PG rated podcast from Noof Nukem. It's always good to see people on both shows. Appreciate the love and support. Hope to see you guys on Sunday. Last week we didn't have a podcast. I was a little under the weather, but hopefully everything is good to go for this Sunday. Looking forward to it, and we'll see you then. And of course, back here again next Tuesday. And just a heads up and a tidbit in advance. Next Tuesday, we're going to have the one and only, one of the busiest men in podcasting, Mr. Boomstick XL is going to be here with us. So it should be another great show. Once again, thank you, Mr. Rand L. Thor, and thank you to the chat. Thank you to the panel. Let's, guys, have a great night. Keep it real, keep it gaming, and we'll see you on the next one. Take it easy. Make sure you share, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It is greatly appreciated. Peace out, everybody. Have a great night. Later, Princess Ella. All righty.